What up, what up, what up, what up, what up, what up, what up? What's going on, everybody? It's your boy, Rod and Don. We're in the building, Brooklyn Business Ball Sports Show. One more time at you. We already have one weekend of playoff action underneath our belt that we are going to discuss. I'm sure many of you were probably wondering what kind of demeanor I would be in this show. But honestly, I was just telling Don behind the scenes before we went live, I'm okay. You know, had we done this maybe shortly after the loss, after that horrendous beatdown we took on Sunday, maybe it'd been a little different. I would have been a lot more dejected and not really myself. But you know what, though? Couple of days of reprieve, and you get to kind of think things through and absorb the reality of what happened. And you know what? You put things in perspective. And so here we are today. And again, it's still Don's world with the 49ers. And of course, we're going to talk about their matchup coming up. We'll also have that in our show coming up later in the weekend as we preview next week's games. But we got a lot to talk about from this weekend. So it's Brooklyn Business Ball Sports Show. Listen, YouTube, Facebook, you're out there. We just need you to like and share and subscribe on all of these platforms. We really appreciate it. If you're on YouTube, go ahead and hit that button there and hit that notification so you can get all the stuff we get there. And to our brother, SKRAPP is in the building. SKRAPP, we love you, my brother. Listen, man, we appreciate you, bro. All right, you already know we with you. We're standing with you, man. We love you, bro. And unfortunately, SKRAPP couldn't be with us today. But you know, he's our partner here on the show, man. He's been holding it down, representing Philly in the building, and he and I, you know, it's been a tough weekend for us, you know. So we're gonna call Dr. Don. Dr. Don's gonna help us today and give us a little bit of something, you know what I mean, to encourage our souls. So nevertheless, man, we are here. So Don, what's good with you, brother?
Oh man, very good week. I'm just. It's a little bittersweet. I got to be honest. It's not. I was expecting something different. Did I think that both teams would not make it out? You know, and so it almost seems like everyone that's been on the show, you know, shout outs to Corey. It was just a complete, utter like, man. It was a tough week, man. It was a tough week.
Tough
but
weekend.
We're gonna get through it. You know, one show at a time, and we'll take it from there, man. Without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, wild card weekend. Tough weekend, man.
Yeah, it was tough.
It started off really, really interesting with the first game, but there were some games that we predicted the outcome. We were spot on. Some not so much. But let's talk about the first game. We're gonna do it in order of when they played. The Cleveland Browns played the Texans.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you, for someone that was on the couch, I think Flacco had a great run. He had a fantastic run. They played well, but all of us, we all picked the Texans because the Texans are just a young team.
Yep.
CJ Stroud is unbelievable. He's playing with unbelievable poise.
Yeah.
And it was something that I was actually really excited about. And I think being that DeMeco Ryans is off of the 49ers tree as it pertains to coaching, I thought that was I was excited. I was pulling for him to be successful, but nobody envisioned this. Nobody envisioned that the number 2 pick in the draft would be pretty much the belle of the ball. Like, he balled out. Players played, and it was really pretty much the game was over early. I mean, first half game was over. So they did the smart thing, got players out of there, substituted, and they are, and I'll just say this before I pass it to you.
Yeah.
I like CJ Stroud. If those that don't know about his family history with his father being incarcerated, that is a story that is very interesting. Number one, I don't think his father has ever seen him play in college or professionally live. Like, he's been in actually the stadium when his son has played. And so him and his father have a very good relationship. And I think it just goes to show you that a lot of excuses that sometimes people can create for themselves, you really, when you think about it, the situation, maybe your family relationship is not what you like it to be, but there's a lot of adversity, and he's proven. And I think when you talk to him, number one, you could tell that he has a strong godly base, right? Because there's
very much so.
It's not a lot of foolishness. When you have when they interview him for his age, he's 22 years old in Texas. World's his oyster, but he seems very grounded, and he has a lot of substance. You can tell just in conversation. So he has an extremely bright future. And I think the Texans, I mean, we'll talk about this later. Are they the best team in Texas? I mean, arguably they could be the best team in Texas. Now we know dealing with, I've dealt with big brother, little brother. I'm a Brooklyn Nets fan. So the Knicks always get all the fanfare, right? And for a while, we had an opportunity, Brooklyn, when our team was completely stacked, we had an opportunity to be bigger than our big brother. You know, it's always Knicks story franchise. And so you got to look at and take notice to what the Texans can do in carving now. Will they ever surpass the Cowboys? Absolutely not. But they can carve away from the notoriety of within the region of teams. And I think once you get past all of the disappointment, maybe people may say, you know what? There's another team in Texas. So if I'm loyal to the state, if I'm loyal to football, and another team is right before my eyes that's winning and has a winning culture, perhaps they, they poach maybe the Texans poach some of the Cowboy fans, and maybe not the diehard fans, but they may poach some of the more casual fans. What do you say, Rod?
No, I agree with you, man. I think, CJ Stroud, shout out to him. One of the things, Don, you'll hear me say throughout the duration of this show is one word, and that's preparation. And I'll put more emphasis on that word when we get to the Cowboys game. But one of the things I love what you talked about with CJ Stroud, he looked, just before our eyes, to see what he looked like in that game against Cleveland, which we all took to win. A lot of people picked Cleveland to win that game. And I thought they were going to win that game. But nevertheless, they came in prepared. CJ Stroud, the moment was not too big for him. Went out there and just played football. And here's a guy, you talk about his family, Don. This is a guy that took that, the S2 test that they give in college football, which is the former Wonderlic test, where they test, the cognitivity of the players and so forth. And he scored miserably on that test. In fact, this is part of why old boy in Carolina kind of got picked before him because of the testing in terms of the outcome there. And so they ended up going with the old boy from Alabama and
Bryce Young,
Bryce Young. And because CJ, he really didn't do well on that test at all. And like he said, hey, I'm a football player. I'm not a CS2 test taker. But nevertheless, right? look what you see with this guy. The way he was putting the ball in the money. Collins had a good game. They moved the ball with ease. This is a good defense, obviously, right? Top 10 defense. In fact, Cleveland's been ranked number 1, if not for the whole year, and pretty much every statistical category and overall defense. And to see how he played against that defense, came prepared. The running game was on point. They ran the ball well. And then, of course, their defense stepped up. But I still thought it was a game at the half. When it came back third quarter, it was only down by 10. It looked like it was going to go back and forth a little bit, but adjustments were made. That's another word you'll probably hear me say quite often throughout this show. Adjustments and preparation. And so Houston made that. And they was able to just, take Flacco and say, hey, bro, great run, nice run. But the pick sixes that came in that game was just crazy. I mean, that was an avalanche. I think that's a traumatic effect. I don't think anybody can come back when you have back-to-back pick sixes like that and which they experienced. That was devastating to them. And I don't think there's any way, not on the road at least, it's not going to happen. And shout out to Houston. They look really good. And in fact, I think they have a winning record against the Cowboys in their first ever franchise victory came against Dallas. And they pretty much played well against us, even when they were still a playoff team with Hopkins and those guys when they were playing there. So, they was, Houston, the Texans are a really good team. And, shout out to DeMeco Ryans. We'll talk about the Shanahan tree and a little something in there to talk about that as well. And in my opinion, I think he gets my vote for rookie of the year because he took a rookie quarterback, being a rookie coach, and being able to do what he did, win a division and get a playoff win. I think that's great. Although I don't think the playoffs, Don, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that factors into the decisions of the coach of the year. But I think just still not officially, but it's hard to ignore that, right? When I think these guys, I don't know if they've already made their selections at the end of the year. I'm not sure exactly how that works, but at the end of the day, shout out to Houston, man. Good win. CJ Stroud did his thing. Cleveland made a nice run, but give Kevin Stefanski a lot of credit. 4 starting quarterbacks in 1 year, and he was able to make it work. And then they pull a guy off the couch, as you said, and for Flacco to play the way he played. Look, hats off to them, man, and Stefanski. Hopefully, Watson can be the player that they hope he can be. And this team should be okay, but they've got a lot of offseason things to think about. Chubb's a free agent. Got to see exactly what they're going to do and moving forward. Still a good defense, still a good team, but Houston is up and coming. That's a dangerous team, no question. We got a good game coming up next week. So, yep.
Yeah. So, I
regular
think
season war scrap.
That's going to be next week is going to be really, really interesting how it all turns out. Let's quickly talk about the Dolphins and the Chiefs.
Okay.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
So, listen, man.
Woo-wee.
Dolphins. My question to you is, at this point, we've seen what Tua is and what he isn't.
Right.
Do the Dolphins further invest in Tua, or is it time for them to just kind of, hey, no harm, no foul, fair exchange isn't robbery, and move on from him? Because, as you mentioned before, he plays in the AFC East, and he has to deal with teams that play in cold weather, right? The Jets, New England, so he has to deal with cold weather teams, right?
Right.
But we understand and see how he plays within those kind of elements. He can't. Right. And so when you think of the whole landscape of the AFC, who he would potentially have to face, Burrow, Mahomes, you got to deal with who else? Allen, of course. Buffalo's in his division. I mean, it just, the Steelers, once they get a quarterback and get something going. So what is the ceiling? Have we seen the ceiling for Tua? Is this the best he can do? Clearly, granted, playing in Arrowhead is tough for anyone. It was cold, but it was cold for both teams. Sure. Tua showed absolutely nothing. No. I mean, there was just, you defensively, you lost a lot of players. Some just, happenstance. Some was self-inflicted.
That was huge.
But at this point, what does Miami do? Are they back to the drawing board? Yeah, you're going to have the receivers and all of these players and explosive offense. But as we both know, the quarterback position, you can't get past it. You can't get around it. The quarterback position will either make or break your team. What do you say?
No, I think, I'm going to be honest with you, D. I think they've got to give Tua some more opportunity. Only reason why I say, if you think about it, right, he's only played in one playoff game. That's it. He didn't play in last year's playoff game. So, and if you're going to pay him, you got to pay him according to success in the postseason. He was a really good quarterback this year, right? He was also in the MVP discussions early in the year and even last year, right? We know he can put up numbers, and you got Tyreek Hill and Waddle. When that team's got all their cylinders clicking, he can be, and he has proven that he's a good quarterback, right? Now, is he a franchise quarterback? In my idea of a franchise quarterback these days, unfortunately, right? Almost anybody could be a franchise quarterback as long as you can get wins in the regular season and get your team into the playoffs. Then you're a franchise quarterback. I mean, the bar is low, D. The bar has been changed a great deal. We're not talking about the standards of when you had the Brady, the Mannings, the Breeze. And then, of course, I think I talked about before, you go back to the 90s with your Youngs and Aikmans. These are guys that were only measured on their championship status and what they were able to accomplish. Today's game, you don't need to be that. You could be a Kirk Cousins. You can be just an average kind of a quarterback. Just get some wins and get into the playoffs. And you know what? We're going to pay you because you know why? We can't find that guy anymore. We can't find the Patrick Mahomes only some teams are blessed enough to get that kind of guy. So you know what? We'll just settle for what we got. And if he can get us some wins, get us in the playoffs, that's what we can do. Tua is above average, right? He's another Dak. He's above average. I'll get into Dak later. But he's only had, in his defense, unlike Dak, he's only had one playoff game. And so we really don't know what we got in Tua, right? I don't think we understand what's there yet. He wasn't in the game last year when he played, got concussed, unfortunate injury, and the whole season just got out of whack for them. And that was, it was what it was, right? They come back this year. But, again, you saw it in the Fraud Bowl between the Cowboys and the Dolphins, right? Two teams that were beating mediocre teams in the Fraud Bowl, and the Dolphins proved to win the Fraud Bowl. They got that, right? And both teams proved to be just what they are. They're frauds, right? And so at the end of the day, I do think with McDaniel, you do have a coach that could still work alongside of him. They can grow together. There's not really, I would think, a coaching issue there, unlike some other teams. So I think what you got here is, in my opinion, D, I think Tua, you got to give him another year, at least another year. Let them get back into the playoffs again. Let's see what he can do. And he needs to win some games. And I will say, lastly, the defense was decimated. That's a lot. That's a lot of good defensive players that they lost, that it's really hard to overcome, especially if you're going to go on the road in the playoffs against a Mahomes. That's pretty tough. That's hard to overcome to a degree. Not saying that Miami still could not have and should not have or was not able to still win the game. It's just that it's a lot to overcome. So when this team is healthy, we'll see. But I don't think you can move off Tua just yet, because what other options do you have? You know what I mean? And so, that's my take on that.
Well, I'll say this. There are some divisions that you don't need to be a great quarterback and you can kind of hide, and that would be acceptable to still get paid.
Right.
AFC East is not one of those divisions where you can hide as a quarterback and expect to get paid. That's first off. Number two, it should have, based on what you're saying, yes, the defense was decimated, but they still had their offensive weapons. So if nothing else, you should have lost in a shootout. Right? Yeah. You shouldn't be turning the ball over. There shouldn't be any. So Tua, if he had done his part, we understand the excuse and the reason for the defense being subpar. They lost a lot of people. Right. Offensively, with the offensive coach, there really wasn't an excuse for him not to put up points. It was just completely unacceptable. And so it doesn't get any better for him. And fortunately, he has the team in a tough position because, just as you said, if they move off of him, who do they take to fill that position? Where do they go from there? What I would do as if I was the owner of that team, I wouldn't invest long-term in him, because you said he needs to win more playoff games. He didn't play last year. Why? He was injured.
Yeah.
It was so the difference between the only quantum leap that he took was he took tumbling classes in between seasons so he wouldn't get injured. That's it. Can he throw for 5,000 yards every season or ridiculous numbers? Of course he can. The only difference was he did not get injured. And that is an improvement, right? He didn't have a bunch of concussions. But I say all that to say, if you're expecting him to be a franchise quarterback that can take the Dolphins deep into the playoffs, no matter where they play, you're not going to be on South Beach. You're saying pretty much Tua has to win. It's win the division or bust. And that's not going to work for your team moving forward, especially if you're looking for upwards of $40 million a year. That's not going to cut it. They would be doing themselves a disservice. But as we discussed, certain fan bases, you can put out mediocre play and they're okay with it because it's either go to a game or just chill on South Beach. And then
I agree with you.
It's a toss-up. But real fan bases would not be okay with that. And they would need, okay, he has a fifth-year option. We'll try him out for another year. We should draft someone to try to cultivate them into maybe being a replacement. And then at that point, if Tua proves himself to win in whatever environment, whatever climate, then we can extend him. But just to extend him, I mean, maybe the team does it, but it doesn't make sense.
No, but if you pick up his option, and again, you just gotta. I think you have to measure him in his playoff success. That's really what you have to measure him in, right? Like you don't know what he can be. Just like look at Purdy. Purdy has played only in one playoff game. That's it. You don't know.
No. That's not accurate. Like, listen, we're not even.
What other
49ers are still on the bye. He already has two playoff victories. He already has two.
How? He's played when he played Dallas. Y'all didn't play in a wild. Were y'all in a wild card last year? Y'all played. Who did y'all play before y'all played Dallas in the division round?
How do we get? You still have to play. We didn't win our division last year.
So who did y'all play in the play? I can't remember who y'all played in the playoffs.
I don't remember, but I know he has two playoff victories.
All right, so he's got 2 playoff games win. All right, so he's won 2 playoff games, right? So because when it comes down to signing him, when y'all when you get to that road, when you cross that road,
you're trying to take.
No. But listen, all I'm saying is this, right? If you're going to decide on whether this guy's he gets franchise money, you have to gauge it on playoffs, right? And Tua has only got 1 playoff game under his belt. So you like you said, I agree with you. You pick up his option, let him play.
But it's not just that. He was 1-5 against playoff teams. So he showed you all season long who he was.
Yeah, but
with
but
a
that
good
doesn't
defense,
mean...
and then as the players started falling off and getting injured, he showed you who he was the whole time. Now, if you don't want to believe it, you don't want to believe it.
But I still don't think that's enough. You got to give a guy at least, okay, that's 1 year. They didn't beat good teams this year. He didn't perform well. Granted, no, I get you. I'm not saying that you don't annotate that and put that into your factoring system. But what I'm saying is that you still have to let him at least get another year under his belt, right? He got a full season this year. Failed in the playoffs.
Give him
his option. And then I think we can revisit the discussion and see, okay, now we have enough evidence, enough statistical support to determine which way we want to go with Tua. Because
should they draft someone? Should they draft a quarterback this year, or should they?
Well, they probably should anyway. I mean, I mean, they're gonna need a viable backup. I don't even know who their backup is, but
Mike White.
I mean,
Mike White's their backup.
Mike White is good, but Mike White is a journeyman. Played good in the Jets. We know what he did last year, right, with the Jets, and was good. He was good, but I mean, Mike White is not he's not a franchise guy, right? In other words, if you're going to draft a guy, you're going to draft a serviceable backup, or you're looking for somebody that you could groom that could potentially replace Tua if you choose not to sign a long term. So it just depends on what your forecast is for that type of quarterback, if what he's going to be to your team. But I think the reality is that you still don't have enough to know what he is, right? Because again, if you don't know what you got and you need to make that determination fast, I think you got 2 seasons. After that, you got to make a decision to move off a guy. Because we're not in the 90s and early 2000s where you got Peyton Manning it took him like 8 years before he gets to a Super Bowl. Drew Brees took a while before them days are over. Right, that's not going to happen. That day is well over. Steve Young was literally 3-24 in his first 2 years in the league. Steve Young. Nobody suspected. He was 2-12 in his second year.
I'm not sure why we're taking all these strays at Niners starting off like the Niners didn't even play this week because you brought up Brock Purdy.
I'm giving you context.
Brock Purdy. I'm just trying to figure out Brock Purdy #1 and Tua as far as the East is from the West. Let me just tell you that first off.
Secondly, I wouldn't. I don't know.
Brock Purdy is better than Tua, but we won't go there.
Yeah,
what I'm saying is that number one, Miami has to decide a lot sooner than the Niners do. The Niners, like I explained to you, are not going to rush themselves and be quarterback poor. We're not going to throw a ton of money. I mean, Super Bowl and everything. We're winning the Super Bowl. Confetti, they're still going to have a discussion. You think they're going to rush out and pay him $50 million a year because he won the Super Bowl for us? Miami is going to have some tough decisions, and we got time. But you started off with that. Then out of all the quarterbacks that struggled starting off, you want to pull up. I'm like, yo, what's going on? Like,
no. But what I'm saying is that at some point, okay, but if at some point, D, right, when the Niners have to look at Purdy, and he's going to be up for a new contract. He's not going to play in his rookie deal forever, right? You're going to have to give him right. So I'm saying, what do you think they're going to take into account?
We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But we're going to be team first, so we will be able to, number one, it's important for us to have the players around him for success, right? That's how a dynasty, that's how you start to build a dynasty. You just can't say, okay, because this player outplayed his draft position, maybe outplayed his contract. Now we're going to jump out the window and give him all this money.
So, but I'm saying, but you don't think you don't think, I'm sorry, hold on one second. I don't know what this is. Hold on. You don't think that as a franchise quarterback, the franchise quarterback is not going to have the highest percentage of the cap eaten up? You mean to tell me that Purdy is not going to eat up at least 20 to 25% of the salary cap?
Eventually.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And when that happens, eventually, you're taking that for that eventuality to manifest, if you will. They got to be able to take into account his playoff success. And if he has great playoff success, as he is expected to have for this year and next year, then he's going to eat up. He's going to eat up most of your cap. What you're
hoping is that the time when that happens, when you have to pay the quarterback, either you've already won your championships and some of the other position players that you're now paying a lot of money, you're able to retool them for a lot cheaper so that the quarterback percentage that is now taking 20-25% of your cap doesn't impact the players around him. Right now, it's
of course.
Inverse,
I agree with that.
Right? So the quarterback's getting a very small percentage. And when you think about Debo, when you think about CMC, and you think about,
Ayuk.
Who else? Ayuk. You think about Trent Williams. They're getting bigger pieces of the pie. But at some point, that's going to change. Right? But at that time, you're hoping that the players that you're getting now, you're drafting, they step up to the plate and are able to. That's how you hand it off. That's how
I understand that.
So,
but you're talking about a franchise quarterback, though. You don't just hand off a franchise quarterback every 4 years.
No. He's our franchise quarterback, but you're trying to force us to be in that position now, and we're not there yet.
No, you're not there yet, but it's coming. Every team, every good team, the good problem that every good team has is when you have a good team, you're going to have two problems: salary cap and losing coaches. That's what every great team is going to face.
So, I mean,
that's inevitable. You're not going to get away. The 49ers are no different. You're not immune to that. You're going to confront that.
But I'm just saying there is a difference between having to deal with something a few years away, 2 years away, and something that has to be decided one way or the other within the next year. Miami is in a position where they're going to have to, this draft that comes up, they're going to have to decide. Now, I'll just say this and then we'll move on to Cowboys. You have to also look at Tua has had seasons. Okay, he got through the injury part, right? He was healthy. He was upright this whole season. But when you look, Tua always starts the season super hot because he has the offensive weapons. If you have a Tyreek, you have a Jalen Waddle, you have a Mostert, you have Achane, who just came out of nowhere this year. You're going to be in a great position more often than not to be successful. Gaudy football numbers. That doesn't prove that you are a franchise quarterback. So you already seen. And this is one thing. Last year, we're talking 2022. They got off to a 5-1 or 6-2 start until they met the Niners. Then the Niners, after that, they came tumbling down after, right? They didn't look good after that game. Once again, they started off unbelievable. Great start. And regular season, they couldn't beat the teams that they would potentially have to face in the playoffs, whether it was an AFC team or eventually if they got deep enough, an NFC team. So I say all that to say, what has changed? Is Tyreek not against those players or against those teams? He's no longer a receiver that was going towards 2,000 yards. Is now Jalen Waddle not a good receiver? You have to look at the quarterback position. We think that McDaniel is a great play caller. I mean, he stole our book and went to Miami with it, an old playbook.
That's what every disciple does.
That we discarded, right? He used that and got success with it. But at some point, the quarterback has to be the one to take you to the next level. And so Miami has some decisions that they're going to need to make. Moving forward, what should we do? But we're not in that position right now.
But I don't think the Dolphins.
We are
I don't
marching
think,
towards
But it
Vegas
sounds like
right
what
now.
you're
We're
saying
not
is
heading
that.
there.
But what it sounds like what you're saying is that Miami probably should consider moving off from Tua. Like they need to start putting into play now, perhaps considering another quarterback for their franchise. I don't necessarily know if
they
that's
should at least draft someone and try and see what's going on from there. They should draft now. Obviously, you have another year, 5th-year option, right?
Yeah.
So you already know you have another year. This is a good quarterback draft. So draft someone. You don't have to go crazy with your.
I believe they will.
You're not getting Caleb Williams, right? So you draft someone and start working on them. And then at that point, if Tua shows you 3 years in a row that he will put up great numbers, but when it counts, if they don't win the division, he folds, or during the regular season, he can't beat playoff teams, then you have your answer already.
I think so. Yeah, then that would be fair to say, because technically he had a playoff game against Buffalo. They lost at home. And then he had the game in Kansas City, which was an actual playoff game. And he didn't fare well in that game either. So you've got.
And last playoffs, he was injured.
Last playoff, he was injured. And an injury, I mean, look, he had one injury-prone season, right? I don't think you can really.
Right, he had 7 concussions.
He did. Well, he only played 13 games in 2021 too, and then 10 games in 2010. 2020 he only played 10 games, so that was a lot. He missed 7 games there, or 6 games at that time.
So he's almost missed.
Yeah, he hasn't played a full season yet, except this year. Yeah,
right. So he's through injuries. So if it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's a duck, right?
No, I agree. But I still think you got to give him
to defend tooth and toenail.
Yeah, I knew you was going to say that.
I mean,
no,
yeah,
I'm just looking at it from. Because I guess, and like I said, I know we'll talk about the Cowboys in a minute, but like I said, I think when you look at Tua, though, I still think you can't just move off a guy who has given you winning seasons as a quarterback, whether he beat bad competition or not. The Dolphins still is a competitive team. They're going to be in the hunt for the AFC East again next year, even with Rodgers coming back. And the thing is, he's only had really technically one playoff game to judge him by. Now, it doesn't like he could go on a run, right? He could do what he did this year, next year in the playoffs. In the regular season, and then come in the playoffs and get to an AFC championship. You still got to give him that opportunity.
That's not going to happen.
Is it going to happen?
He had the best chance
to happen.
You had a chance.
Think so, but
come on, Rod. Come on.
But I'm not. But I can't. But I'm saying though.
You pay him $40 million, right? Let's just say, right? You say, okay, Tua, we can do no better than Tua. And we pay him, we give him a long-term deal. Explain to me if Rodgers comes back and he's 80%, right? Yeah. And some things have happened that maybe Devontae Adams is going to the Jets. They changed numbers, some stuff that was him and Garrett changed numbers. Garrett went to number 5, and so Devontae could have his number. Let's just say Devontae Adams ends up in a Jet uniform. And Rodgers comes back 75% of what Rodgers was, right?
Right.
Tua is the third best quarterback. He's the third best quarterback. Are you paying him $40 million to be the third best quarterback?
No, you're not.
Number two is 40 years old. So that tells you all you need to know.
Are you going to waste 2 years or so developing a quarterback? Because you got to remember, Hill is getting old. He's not gonna. You got to think about, because Tyreek Hill is, he'll be pushing almost 10 years in the league at some point in 2 more years or so. So you got to think about, are you willing to take a step backwards, because you don't know what you're going to get in a young quarterback. You know what I mean? And McDaniels could probably coach him up. Because look, McDaniels got a little something out of. And to Tua's credit, he played better when McDaniels got there, right? When Brian Flores was there and everything, who didn't really believe in Tua, he didn't think Tua was the answer. They were trying to move hard to get Watson in the trade. And McDaniels came and he took Tua's game to another level. All I'm saying is that it's a risk that you're going to take if you're going to move off a guy who I still think you haven't given enough. There's not enough body of work in the playoffs. He's not like a Dak Prescott who's 2-5 in the playoffs, who's been there for 8 years. That's different. Not a Tua, who I still think who could get to that next level, right? You work the scheme and you figure McDaniels is a good coach. He'll probably do something and get the team better. They'll come back healthy next year defensively, and then you'll see what they do. I mean, I don't know. I just can't. Do I think Tua is a Super Bowl winning quarterback? I don't think so. I just think there's way too much competition in the AFC. I don't think the Dolphins are as good. They're a playoff team, but not as good as the other teams that are going to be in that are in that conference. I don't think so. I think he's above average.
Alfie? What's it all about?
I'm gonna tell you what it's about. Are you willing to get a guy who you don't know and lose 2.5 to 3 years of developmental years?
Who says that? Wait. We have learned and seen that the difference is, yes, you mentioned that teams don't have patience to allow a quarterback to develop for 5-6 years, right?
Right.
But these quarterbacks are coming in better prepared because of what they've gone through in college, the amount of games, dealing with those. I mean, like,
they're not going to get that kind of quarterback, though. If you think about it, D, the top-notch quarterbacks here are coming in playing relatively well, right? Your Strouds and you had obviously, well, even though he's not a rookie, a couple years back, but you had Love, who benefited from a LaFleur and sitting behind Aaron Rodgers. Like, there's conditions that help these young quarterbacks that are coming in the top draft. Like, Miami is not getting a top pick. They're going to get a quarterback.
I know since you brought up, Steve Young.
Who would that be?
You want to talk about anybody, anybody 262 pick that was able to thrive?
But D, his system.
Whoa.
Look,
if you got a good scheme, you can make it work, right?
But you just said it. McDaniels is a good coach. Miami can definitely light it up. We've seen what their offense can do. McDaniels is a great schematically brilliant mind offensively, right? But that team still ain't the 49ers. I mean, no, we can't get ahead of ourselves.
Well, I never said they
walked
were the 49ers.
into a situation that was almost impeccable. Okay,
So
almost impeccable.
Class,
and that's not going to be everybody. No one's going to be Mr.
everyone.
Irrelevant and going to lead their team to a
Listen,
championship game.
Only
but Purdy can do that.
We're past Mr. Irrelevant. Can we?
I know that, but that was your point. 262, right? I mean,
right.
That
is my point.
So that's why I'm saying it.
If they have an opportunity to develop a quarterback, they take a quarterback that has some promise. And how about this? You move off of Tua, get a bridge quarterback and a developmental quarterback. They probably would both be cheaper than just paying
they would be cheaper. They would be cheaper.
So why not do that? It will buy you maybe 2 or 3 years to develop the project. And your team is not in the tank because you have a veteran that can carry the team.
No, I agree. I think in theory, I agree with everything that you're saying. I don't disagree with you. I agree with you. I just think like you said, you pick up the option, see what he does this year, and you'll know about who they draft this year. If they don't draft the quarterback in this coming draft here in a couple of months, then you know that they obviously believe Tua is their guy, and they're gonna probably go ahead and sign him. You know what I'm saying? So
David is dropping bars, and we're about to talk about the Cowboys. That was a fourth round that
started right away too and was good. Right, but Dak walked into a very good situation. You know what I'm saying? He walked into a very good.
Miami. Wait. Listen. Miami's not a good situation.
No, they are, but they didn't have the situation when Tua first got there. They had a good defense. Flores was building the team up, but they didn't have a Hill. They didn't have a Waddle at the time.
So now they have it. So he should really thrive.
Yeah. They haven't thrived. I mean, his numbers have been. He had a 105 passer rating last year and a 101 passer rating this year. I'm saying, you don't think he had good numbers this year?
His numbers are always going to be good. You got 4 players that run 25 miles an hour. You're always going to have good numbers.
Right. So he did take advantage of that. So, but I'm saying he took advantage of that. Again, I don't think Tua is a world beater. He's better than average. But my thing is this: you don't listen. You look at what's his name? Look, he actually descended. I know we are.
So wait. Is he?
Look at Trevor Lawrence. Look at even what's his name? The old boy out there in LA with the Chargers. Okay, Herbert. Like, he got hurt.
You would take Tua over Herbert?
No, what I'm saying is they kind of descended a little bit. They what you call it? Lawrence kind of took a step back this year. He didn't go forward. And Herbert didn't look great before he got hurt either. So I'm saying they didn't look great. Joe Burrow is an injury prone quarterback now.
So let me ask you a question. If you gave Herbert, Tyreek, Waddle, Mostert, I mean, he has a good running back, so he doesn't need a running back. If you gave Herbert, Tyreek, and Waddle, what do you think Herbert's numbers would be?
Wait a minute. So, and what do you think if Tua had Eckler and Allen
Mike
and
Williams,
Williams? Hurt. I mean, he was hurt, but I'm saying they got just as many weapons, though. They still got weapons, and they brought in Kellen Moore, who was the top OC guy for Dallas. They have the #1 scoring offense for the last 3 years when he was the OC. So I'm saying, I mean, he's not at a dearth of weapons over there. Let's not act like
you ever watch Scooby-Doo? You ever watch
Carolina.
Scooby-Doo, and then once they catch the villain, they remove the mask, and it was somebody they were talking. I'm not talking to you. It's Corey. Take off your mask. It's Corey.
I know.
Corey's doing the show.
I'm just trying to tell you, D.
Because
you act like quarterbacks. No one is the 49ers.
You are defending
D. The 49ers.
I can't believe that you are spending this time defending
you're
Tua
looking
as
through the
being
prisms.
A franchise quarterback.
I'm saying give him another year.
David,
I'm not saying that he
record,
is, but you got to give him another year.
They beat the Cowboys. That was the only team with a winning record, and it took 5 field goals to win.
Yeah.
Tua still didn't do anything.
No, he didn't.
You move on, man. Let's move on.
No, he didn't.
I know you're
He
defending
didn't.
it. Let's talk about, and I want to see the patience that you have of Job. I want to see if you got this for the Cowboys.
Oh yeah. All right.
Packers
let's
versus the Cowboys. Now,
yes.
Listen, this was the game that we were all wrong about. I thought I'll say this. One of us said it was going to be a complete blowout. One of us said it was going to be under 7 points.
Yeah.
So I'm closer to right, but I was absolutely wrong. The Cowboys just completely dismantled. It was like, and so this is what I know you're going to have a ton to say. That's why I'm going to get my few words in, and then I'm just going to the session.
You're going to go get a sandwich and just hit. You're not going to charge me for the first 20 minutes of my diatribe I'm about to go on.
This is just getting it all out, man. Just getting
No, I appreciate it, Dr. Don.
Comfortable getting your emotions up to that point.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
I will say this. The only reason why you should clean house and everybody should go is because every time they get shellacked, nobody's seen it coming. When the 49ers beat their pants off, we didn't see it coming. I didn't know what to expect. Just now, when the Packers destroyed them, I was bad. It was just every time they lose, there is, so that lets you know, are they looking at film? Are they knowing the tendencies of the teams that they or potentially play? You didn't think, if nothing else, even if you thought their defense, the Packers defense was garbage, they got 4 top-notch receivers. And Jaden Reed didn't even get the ball. They have a great running back, right? That can really ball. Why not go historically what he's done against the Cowboys? You had mentioned that. You definitely mentioned that, and that wound up being, pretty much the nail in the coffin. He was able to do everything. I mean, the run game, the pass game, and I'll say this. Shout outs to Jordan Love. He looked like there was he was in the backyard. I don't know if he has kids, but he looked like he was in the backyard with his kids, just having fun, just throwing the pigskin around. He didn't even look like he was doing anything else. He was coming up to the line of scrimmage, just calm, cool, collected. Dak looked like a deer in headlights. Yeah. He looked like from the rip. Right. And so another sign that it was going to be bad. Why do you talk? What do you have to talk to CeeDee Lamb about? That was what practice was for all week. That was the walkthrough. What are you talking to CeeDee Lamb? And then when I seen Mike McCarthy go up to CeeDee Lamb and lean over and talk to him, done. I said, they are finished. And I tried to give you on our thread, I tried to speak life into your team. Finished. And you accepted it quickly. I was like, hey, so you're saying there's a chance? No chance whatsoever.
No chance.
And it was bad, man. What do you have to say?
No, D, I have, listen, so I agree with everything you said, and this game was over after the first drive. I've been watching this team, as I've been saying all along, and D, you know, since 1977, all right? I've been a Cowboy fan. I know the tendencies of this team, particularly this team here that we've seen in the past 25 to 28 years. Dallas lost this game after the first drive. Even though they got assisted on that first drive with a couple of penalties there with Bland on the hold and DeMarcus Lawrence jumping off sides, we could have probably held them to a field goal. But even then, Dallas knew that they were going to lose right off the rip. That first drive, right off the rip, they knew they was going to lose. And here's the reason. Dallas never practiced this week. There was no preparation of any kind of anything. And this is what I want to talk about. This is why you have coaches that prepare. DeMeco Ryan and what's his name? Slonick, I believe his name is, their offensive coordinator. They had CJ Stroud prepared. LaFleur, he had Love prepared. The Green Bay Packers all week long sat down and said, we're going to expose the middle of the field. We're going to expose their safeties where there's the weakness in their back end. We're going to run a lot of misdirections because this team over pursues. We are going to run the ball, and we're going to have a scheme to block and protect Love, which is what they did. They came in with a plan, D. That's what set the Green Bay Packers up for success, both offensively and defensively. They came in with a plan and knew how they were going to attack the Cowboys. The Cowboys, on the other hand, they didn't practice. You know what their game plan was? While everyone was just chilling all week long and riding in their cars and chilling with their family all week because they looked at no film, they said, hey, we'll just throw the ball to CD and we'll be good, or we'll just run the ball a little bit because their run defense is not the greatest. They got a good front four, but we're going to go ahead and still run on them. We got 3 All-Pros in our front line, so we'll be able to be good. And the reality is they got hit in the mouth and they did not know what to do. The problem with the Dallas Cowboys, Dan Quinn and Mike McCarthy, 2 coaches with Super Bowl pedigree, each got a ring on their finger for doing what it is that they do or supposedly supposed to do well, came into that game. Not only did they not have an initial game plan, they couldn't even adjust to what happened. So when you look at when Dak says in the post game and even later on, he says, they showed us things we never seen before. Really? So you mean to tell me, Dak, 8 years in the league,
right,
having what is considered to be an MVP season, 4-time Pro Bowler, a second-team All-Pro, and you mean to tell me you saw stuff that you couldn't see? That's what Love was supposed to say after the game. That's what a CJ Stroud was supposed to say after his game. Say things like, I saw stuff that I didn't know that even existed. They played 6 guys, quarter coverage, covered 4 quarters of the field, and still dropped 2 guys in the middle. Dak didn't know what he was looking at. He did not understand the defense. And guess what? Mike McCarthy, you're supposed to be the OC. You took the play calling over. You got Kellen Moore out the door. You put it on you to say, I'm going to call the plays. But then you mean to tell me you couldn't sit down with your 8-year quarterback, 4-time Pro Bowler, 2-time All-Pro, and say to him, hey, this is what they're doing. This is what we need to counter. No, none of that ever happened. You didn't know what to do because that's the limitations on you as a coach. LaFleur ran circles around Dan Quinn. Yeah, that's it. And you see that mouth that opens up? Once you see that mouth, and you've been saying it since last year, D, right, you know it's a wrap. Because the truth of the matter is, and Dan Quinn is 0-4 against Shanahan disciples. He can't beat LaFleur, lost to him twice, lost to Shanahan twice, lost to McDaniels once. He can't beat guys that have the ability to scheme. This is Dan Quinn I'm talking about. Yeah. He has, now listen, you got no linebackers. They're all undersized. Now to Cowboys defense, we didn't come into the season looking to play freaking 210-pound linebackers who are safeties, okay? Jamarian Overshown, our 3rd-round pick, had shown a lot of promise in the preseason. Got hurt, ACL torn. Van Der Esch got hurt in the 49er game, gone. Now his career is in jeopardy. We had nobody. But we only had Damone Clark. But you mean to come and you couldn't grab a dude somewhere, a Devin Harper that's on the special teams, somebody that you can put a body in there. I know who's going to sacrifice one of your back-end players because, again, he likes to play with 6 defensive backs, Dan Quinn that is. But, again, you played in a 3-cover zone. Dallas doesn't play zone at all. Dallas doesn't play zone at all. But 53% of their defensive snaps was in zone. So my whole thing is guys did not know where to pass guys off. They didn't know how to cover their areas because they're not used to zone. Nobody practiced that. It's like Quinn called up, said, yo, I'm over here. I'm talking to Seattle. I got my Starbucks in my hand. I'm talking to Seattle, and I don't have time. So, guys, this is what we're going to do because, Gilmore is hurt with his shoulder. He can't play press coverage. So what we're going to do, we're going to adjust the whole defense, and we're going to put them in zone. And we're going to let the zone play because we're the number 1 team against man-to-man coverage, but yet we're going to go away from what we've done all year long that got us to the number 2 seed, and you're going to now play a 3-cover zone. Why would you do so? If Gilmore could not play, then take him out. Bring in Nashawn Wright. Bring in Izzy could have came in. McQuamu. Bring him in and then let them do the best that they can. Don't go away from your scheme. That's what you did. And LaFleur had answers for everything. They played in the cover 3. All they did was shift guys back around. Ran one way, boom. Had to go on the other side of the field. Love, who's one of the worst in the league on the run throwing, he looked literally like Aaron Rodgers out there on Sunday. Relaxed, calm, cool, no pressure at all. That score, they could have scored 70 if they really wanted to. There was no stopping them in any kind of way. Dallas is running the ball on second down. Kept running on second. Why are you running on second down? They was averaging 0.1 yards about on second down runs. Why are you going out there trying to run the ball? And McCarthy is this coach. You came in training camp. We can run the ball. Kellen Moore likes to just light up the scoreboard because he wants to get a job. I've been there before. I know what that's like. We're going to run the ball, and we're just going to let the defense run. Then after you got our tails whipped in San Francisco, you had the thing change. After the local media got on you and said, well, what the heck? Where's Brandon Cook? We haven't seen him. We didn't see him until the Charger game. So, because you wanted to run the ball. So you made an adjustment there. And then CeeDee Lamb goes in your office, and now CeeDee Lamb gets the ball. But in your brain, where is the thickness that's up here? You got these weapons, and you didn't know how to use it because you want to run Tony Pollard. Pollard is not that dude that can take the majority of the snaps. He's a guy that comes in between. He's an intermediary back. He's not a guy that can take the horse load, and not in the fact that he also had to come over the injury, which he still wasn't over yet. So you get into this situation against Green Bay, a team that's a 7th seed, a team that it took them everything in their power to beat the Carolina Panthers. They lost to the Giants for crying out loud. And this team was able to put up 48 points against your defense. The game was over in the 4th quarter with 6 minutes left. The true score is 48-16. Them garbage, calorie-less freaking stats that Dak put up, trash. And Dak, here's my thing with Dak. 2 things have to happen. You get rid of McCarthy off the rip. McCarthy, we're the first team. The Cowboys is the first time ever in the history of their franchise existence. 3-12. What does that mean? That means nothing. Who cares? Jimmy Johnson never had 12 back-to-back seasons, but he had 2 rings. Tom Landry had 29 consecutive winning seasons, longer than any coach ever in the history of the game. 5 Super Bowl appearances, 2 Super Bowl wins, and he never went 12 for 12 in 3 consecutive seasons. So what does that mean? And you're still 1-3 in the playoffs. So what does that do for you? That does nothing for you. You can't make adjustments in a game. And this is what got him thrown out in Green Bay, because at some point, you tried to rely on other guys and your talent. That's the problem with the Cowboys. They don't build winning teams. They know how to put talent on the field, but they can't build a winning team or winning culture. Dak, here's what I say. Take the $60 million hit. Know what you do with Dak? Let him play out his contract. Take the $60 million hit. This way, when it's over, done. All you got to do is convince a new coach and say, look, keep Dak 1 more year, and then you can have him, and then after that, he can walk. Give him his $60 million. I don't care. Stifle us right now, because you ain't got to pay Micah and you ain't got to pay CD till the year after next. So they're still on their rookie deals. You let Dak play, get him out the door. 60, that's it. Give him his 60. Bye, bro. You gone. We're moving on. This is where you now change quarterbacks. This is where you don't give another opportunity to an 8-year veteran who's a 4-time Pro Bowler and made the second team All-Pro this year. And this is a guy who was in the MVP discussions and talking about, I saw things I'd never seen before. I saw ghosts. I mean, now you Sam Darnold now.
And you know what else he said that was, I'm sure, aggravated you? At the end of the game, he was talking about how bad he played. He said, we got something going late. Did you?
How? Donald, when he said that,
I could just imagine what you were thinking when he said we got something going late.
Donald, I'm gonna tell you something. I think there's something mental with that. I do. I think mentally there is something that doesn't compute with him, particularly in big games. And him, the way he just, I don't understand the way he processes things. Like, to say something like that is the most idiotic thing that you can say. That's what comes out of your mouth in a game where you were embarrassed at home with 16 straight wins and you the first team to ever lose to a number 7 seed since they changed the playoff format. This is what comes out of your mouth when you are down by 32 points with 6 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter. You say, well, we found our rhythm late. So that'll give us some momentum for next week.
But
stupid. The season is over. There is no next week. There is no momentum. So why would you say
Cowboys.
Something so stupid?
That is Cowboys for you.
But that's what Dallas does. Here's the thing.
Dallas does. They reel you in.
Do you bring it? Now, here's the thing. If you brought in a Belichick, here's my advantage in this. I'll say this real quick, D. If you brought in a Belichick, what Belichick would do, he would at least be able, for the 1 year that they would keep Dak, to show him what a defense looks like. That's the defensive king. He would sit Dak down and say, listen to me. I want you to look, to smack him in his face and say, listen to me. This is what you're seeing. You see how this safety here? You see how this shot? You see these stupid crossing routes and the slants that you keep throwing, and you never see that undercover guy because you got tunnel vision and you're forcing the ball where it shouldn't be forced. Listen, this guy is laying in wait for you. You got to be able to see the field. You got to be able to know what you're looking at. This is the kind of defense that they're in. So here's what we're going to do. You understand what I'm saying? He can help Dak with that. My only issue, and he will bring discipline, and he'll have the team prepared the way Jimmy Johnson used to do. Jimmy Johnson had all phases prepared.
Jimmy Johnson was about to have a coronary. He
was the most excited guy in the Cowboys.
He was more fired up in halftime than Mike McCarthy. He was about to literally have a heart attack explaining that they shouldn't, and realistically speaking, they should have went into halftime scoreless. Dak went an entire quarter without completing a pass.
That for the number 1 offense in the league, D, against a mediocre defense. Because you know what that defense did? They prepared. They was ready to take away what Dallas likes to do, and they dropped everybody back, and they do the same thing they do to Tua. They drop everybody back, and now you don't know where to go with the ball. And that was Dak is scrambling for his life and still can't go nowhere with the ball because everybody's covered. Receivers got no separation at all. Dallas had no there. And you know what the average yard of separation was for the Green Bay Packers? It was nearly 6 yards. 6 yards of separation.
Listen to this. I think I saw on the new on one of the sports shows, Next Gen Stats. I think the tight end was the most open of anybody the entire season. The closest person when he hit the tight end down the line, I think it was Musgrave.
Yeah.
17 yards of separation.
D.
The cameraman.
I thought he was fielding a punt. I thought they was doing warm-ups. I thought he was out there fielding a punt and warm-ups.
The cameraman could not find a Cowboy.
Couldn't find a Cowboy nowhere. You have to adjust. They took about 5 different angle shots and couldn't find a Cowboy anywhere. Nowhere in sight on that play. And that happened 5 times. Where he was able to throw that ball off his back foot and find a guy without a Cowboy in sight. So when you look at this team, Donald, this team, the culture, this is the culture of this team. And Jerry is all about brands. He's all about a star player. And as long as you got that star player, we can get into the playoffs. That's all that really matters. And I'm going to tell you why he would try to go up to Belichick, because it's a sexy pick. It's the name that's going to bring it. He's not going to go with a Slotnick over there in Houston. He's not going to go with a Ben Johnson in Detroit.
Not Harbaugh.
He's not. Well, Harbaugh. The thing is, Harbaugh. I would love them to bring in Harbaugh, but I think Harbaugh won't fool with that. I just don't think he would want to.
And Belichick will.
Well, the thing is, this with Belichick
is going to say, "Hey, listen, you're going to have to."
But they're close. See, Belichick and the Jones family are very, very close. They have a great, tight-knit relationship. Belichick loves the Joneses, and the Joneses love Belichick. And when Bill Belichick said at the press conference when he was leaving New England, I'm willing to give up
all those press conferences. I don't know if he can keep.
Well, see, the thing is, that will even be better for him, because here's the thing, right? When he said, Belichick, that is, at the end of his press conference in New England, he says he's willing to concede. He's letting all the teams know that have an interest and need a coach, because he wants to coach. I'm willing to concede. He wanted to concede. The report said that he told Kraft, I will step back and relinquish control. And Kraft said, nah, we good. That's all right. I don't even want you in the building anymore. Sorry, buddy. We good. Right. So he's willing to concede here because he wants to coach again. He will concede to Dallas. Will McClay will still do the drafting because we know Bill can't draft. No, all we need Bill to do is run that defense, show Dak what he needs to see, and then that's it. But you still got to get an OC. And you know that Bill can't get coaches. His coaching staffs have been deplorable over the last few years, other than what's his name, McDaniels. So he can't get a good at least an OC guy in there. So the problem, that's the only thing I would say where my issue comes in with that. Harbaugh would be good, but I don't think Harbaugh wants to do that. I honestly think he's still going to go to the Chargers. But Dallas, I'm telling you, Donald, this was a travesty. I did not expect this to happen. But when they drove down the field and they scored, I said, Dallas is going to lose. Dak did not know what to do because they punched him in the mouth. They won the toss, and they kept the toss and said, you know what? We're going to come on offense, and y'all going to have to play catch up to us because we're going to score in this defense. And that's exactly what they did. Aaron Jones, again, put on the clinic. And let me mention just one stat correction here. James, I think it's James, you said, no, it's tied. The Packers don't have more wins than Dallas in AT&T Stadium. They got 3 wins. Dallas has 3 wins. In 2010, we beat the Eagles. 15, we beat the Detroit Lions. And then in 19, we beat David, and then in 19, we beat the Seattle Seahawks. So we've got 3 playoff wins in AT&T, and the Packers got 3 wins in AT&T Stadium.
David is coming with some bars, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah, but that's the only thing that's not a true stat. They're equal. They're equal. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You know what? Scrapp's passed it up halfway through this. Scrapp is stupid. Scrapp is stupid. Nah. You know what I'm saying? No, but Bill, let me tell you something. Bill won't mind Jerry talking because now he doesn't have to talk. And that culture that Bill had, Bill is just going to be able to establish the culture with the players. He's not going to tell Jerry what to do. No one's telling Jerry what to do. Jerry's going to still come out there, do his press conferences, have a bunch of microphones in his face. That's just what Jerry does. So he's going to do that. But the truth of the matter is that won't be a problem for Bill because Bill knows in order to get a job, he's got to concede. Because where else is he going to go? You can't go to Atlanta. Ain't no quarterback there. The Patriots, you're going back to what the Patriots had. You got no quarterback there. He's not going to go to the Chargers because I don't think the Chargers want him anyway.
But I think Atlanta gets a pretty high pick, right? I think they get a pretty high pick. You got a tight end. Yeah. Bill knows what to do with tight ends. You got a running back. You got a really good running back.
And they got a top 10 defense for most of last year. Yeah, they do.
I think Atlanta, you got receivers. You have a good team. You're just missing a quarterback.
Yeah, they do.
Is it possible? I don't think Atlanta is a terrible.
But let me tell you something. They're not terrible. But here is the thing. Bill has a better chance to win a Super Bowl without Tom, because that's what this all boils down to. He ain't gonna tell you that, but that's what it boils down to.
Of course it is.
If he wins, he has a better chance of winning in Dallas than he would in Atlanta. You could possibly do something with that, maybe. But I'm gonna tell you the truth. And I only say they only got a better possibility to win. But the truth is, you're not gonna win in Dallas. As long as Dak Prescott is your quarterback, you are not going to win. He cannot. Huh?
Dakota Rain?
Dakota, South Dakota, North Dakota, mid Dakota, Central Dakota. It doesn't matter what Dakota you call it. Dak cannot win in the big game. He can't. His brain freezes. He doesn't know what he's looking at. He just cannot play in the big moments. And regular season means nothing. That's why I tell you, D, I'm gonna tell you right now, and I told you guys in the chat, you and Scrap. Let me tell you something. I'm just chilling. Ain't no fanfare. Ain't none of that. Ain't gonna be no cowboy blinging out my room, putting all this cow. I ain't doing none of that stuff. I ain't doing none of that. Listen,
you took the sombrero down?
I'm a fan. The sombrero's still with a sombrero. No, all that's right there. Think of the sombrero. I had some up. I'm getting ready to put I was gonna put my other jerseys up. Put all that. I ain't putting nothing up. Listen. When I will become interested in week 18. When week 18 come, then we'll see what
next
Dallas
year.
is going to do, which is next year.
Wow.
We'll see.
Okay.
But we don't have. But the problem is that Don, Dallas is not going to go anywhere with Dak, and we're not going to go anywhere unless we really get a type of a coach that knows how to scheme. We're not going to get a Ben Johnson or the Slonik guy, whatever. I'm probably pronouncing his name wrong. Slotnick, whatever his name is, because Jerry don't have time for a coach to be able to figure himself out and figure out how to be a head coach. Those guys.
So why not if you go with Belichick, there are a few offensive coordinators that you can snatch up that he's familiar with, and it's just saw Eric McDaniel.
Oh, right? McDaniel, you bring in Josh McDaniels?
McDaniel, right?
I mean, look, I wouldn't mind a Josh McDaniels coming in.
But I'll say this. I saw an interview with Eric Mangini, and he said that type of offense that they would run would take Dak. It's not a just plug and play. It would take Dak because you have to process stuff, and it would take Dak, maybe a year to get it.
Nah, Dak, he ain't got a year. Pay him his $60 million.
He got a year.
Pay him your $60 million, and then you let him go. And then you go ahead and you get another quarterback. This is where the Tua application of what you were talking about, D. This is where your point, in my opinion, applies.
Both are applicable.
But more so in a guy who's 2-5, 8 years in the league,
Tua's younger.
And you had time.
That's the only difference. I mean, I think overall, Dak is more durable, right? He's a bigger quarterback. I think he's more mobile. He has a stronger arm.
Dak than who?
Than Tua. He's more durable.
Oh, you're talking about Tua. Oh,
so
yeah. I mean, they're the same. Look, they're the same players. They're the same players. I don't think Tua's going to do anything either. D. That's why I was honestly just telling you. I agree with you. I just felt like they just got to still give him one more year. At least let him get another playoff game under his belt. That's all I'm saying. But he'll probably foil in that position as well.
But what you're trying to do is you're trying to create, by giving him another playoff opportunity, you're creating another Dak situation. You should cut your losses. If he's not it, he's not it. I mean,
well, we can't cut him now because No.
I understand that.
Right.
I'm talking about Tua. You can cut Tua.
Oh.
You defended Tua for 40 minutes. And what you're trying to do is create another Dak in Miami, where we need to see year after year after year that he's just not the guy. Just cut your losses. We drafted Trey Lance very high. We found out very soon he was not the guy. So what happened?
But how long did it take? It took y'all about what? Was it about what? 2 years, 2.5? Remember, he got hurt.
No, he got injured.
Y'all did give Trey some time to see if he was the guy or not.
Well, Tua's had more than that time, and Dak certainly has had more than that time.
Well, here's the thing. I think y'all probably would have still gone back to Trey if he wasn't hurt still. Remember, when he got hurt, Jimmy came in. Then Jimmy got hurt, Purdy came, right? Because Purdy moved up the depth chart.
Right.
So I think
presented itself.
Same thing with Dak. Dak was the third string. Kellen Moore got hurt, and then when Romo got hurt, Dak was already moved up to the second string, and then that's how he got the job. I think y'all would have still given Trey at least another year to see what you had in him if he wasn't still hurt.
This is 8 years in, and this is 4 years in with Tua. You have seen all you need to see if you want to make a real decision to move on. You don't need to see much more. If you think that Dak is not the answer, you have to you got to eat that now, right? That $60 million or whatever, you're going to have to just eat that. But in the case of Tua,
they're going to sign him to a stupid extension. I know. I guarantee you, they're gonna. Jerry's going to do it. I'm telling you, Jerry's going to do. He's stupid. He's going to sign because you know why? Dak got no trade clause, Donald. He's got no trade clause. Yeah. He's got all the leverage right now.
You know why he has all of that? Because when you had an opportunity to make a decision, indecision creates decision.
Yeah.
When you had an opportunity to make a decision on him early, you kept kicking the can. You let him play out his entire contract, and then you found out it was a bad quarterback class. There was nothing you could do. So now we gotta overpay him.
Yeah, exactly.
In the press conference.
No, you're right.
Jerry Jones said, I overpaid you. But if you think that affects Dak, Dak doesn't care. The check's still cleared. And now you're it started a chain of events, and now you're jammed up, and now you're going to continue to make this decision. Real quick,
Yeah, good.
I saw you. You were talking about being a lifelong fan. It was funny that this came across. I'll tell you, past Sunday, my pastor was preaching and talking about growing up as a kid, Saturday morning cartoons and stuff, and then he was talking about wrestling, right?
Right.
And how he was totally tied into, the Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan and all of this stuff, WrestleMania, right?
Yeah.
And then it took him some time to realize that wrestling was fake and it was scripted. And that changed his whole perception because he was so emotionally charged and, his weeks would be affected by, what's going to happen? Who's going to win this in WrestleMania? Who's going to win that? And it wasn't until he realized that it was scripted that it changed his whole perception because he knew, doesn't matter how I personally feel, the outcome is already set.
Right.
He meant it in a different context about, trials and tribulations we go through. But I still have to say, as a Cowboy fan and a lifelong Cowboy fan, you have to realize that circle of going around Marbury Bush and the same outcome happens because the core of your team, the ownership, maybe the coaching, how that happens, all of that is the same. And unless they're willing to change, Jerry Jones, he says he's okay to because if you're bringing in the type of coach at like a Bill Belichick or Harbaugh, you would have to change the way you operate, the way you do business. And and so I find it hard to believe that somebody that has been doing something the same way for so many years and people still buy into it is going to now go completely 180 and go in the opposite direction. Now he's going to dummy down, or I don't see him with Belichick. Belichick is a man of a few words, right? He mumbles at the press conference. He's not really about the fanfare. Your owner is the complete opposite. And if you look at what Bill Belichick has come from, Kraft is out of the way. I'm going to let the professionals handle their business. The only time, hopefully, you'll see me is when we're hoisting a trophy. And I want to thank the coaching staff. He wouldn't be able to go into that with Dallas. I mean, I think if you don't want an owner all up in the videos, dancing, stay away from the Cowboys. There's no way that will work. It won't work.
I don't think it's like that anymore, though.
It would work. But for everything else, I don't see it happening.
But I don't think it's that way anymore. And here's why I say. McCarthy has had opportunity in the 4 years he's been there. Let's scratch 2020 when Dak broke his leg and that defense was just horrible with Mike Nolan. Mike McCarthy has been able to run the team. Like, Jerry doesn't even make decisions anymore. It's Stephen Jones who makes the decisions, really, right? Jerry's still gonna be in the media, in the mics. He's gonna talk. He's gonna be spokesman because he's got to market the team. So they're gonna lead the marketing up. When Jimmy and Jerry got there, that's what their agreement was. Jimmy said, "I'll handle the team. You handle the marketing," right? And Jerry filled the seats when Dallas Cowboys were losing $1 million a month when Jerry bought that team. He was able to get contracts, brands. He brought in all kind of licensing, and the team make money. All that. And then, they had the cheerleaders already, but they was building up. Okay. Yeah, they had the cheerleaders already. But TEXANS was there. He's actually the one that brought in the cheerleaders. They had all of that.
Did they have that? And you would know better than me. The agreement that they played every Thanksgiving, that predated Jimmy. Is that correct?
Oh wait, yeah, that predated Jimmy.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
TEXANS and what's his name? Purchasing who purchased the team, the first owner of the Cowboy team. They established that Detroit and Dallas ended up getting that Thanksgiving game, and that Dallas was able to lock that in. So they was able to keep that in, and that was just how they negotiated. Dallas was the first to put in a lot of different things as far as the media contracts and all that stuff. They was already thinking that way even before Jerry got there. But then they started to plummet. Tom Landry had some bad seasons towards the end in 88-89 because he drafted Nate Newton and also Michael Irvin. So Michael Irvin was already there before Jimmy got there. So what happens now, Don, but I think Jerry is going to take care of that, right? Let him do what he do because the team, they got to make money, right? So he's going to be about the money. They let Mike McCarthy do what he does. All of this, what we see, the bad coaching, the bad preparation, and no adjustments, that's on Mike. That's not even on Jerry. In all fairness, that's on Mike. Mike, you have an opportunity to coach the team, and you did not do that. Now, was Jerry in the way of a lot of things? Sure he was. When Bill Parcells brought him in, it was only reason why, you know why he really hired Bill Parcells? Because he needed to build the stadium. That's why he brought Parcells in. And they agreed that he was going to come in. Parcells had a bad divorce, lost a lot of money in the divorce. He needed money. So Jerry brought him on, paid him well. He coached the team. They was doing hand in hand until he brought in T.O. Parcells didn't want T.O. Jerry Jones brought in. He said, "I know, I'm bringing him in." He says, "I don't want Terrell Owens. I'm bringing him in." And you know what Parcells did? He never referred to Terrell Owens by his name. He would call him the player, or he'll say she. That's what he did. That's what he would call him. He didn't like him. And then all of a sudden they broke up. That's when you had Jerry really in the midst of a lot of stuff. Now, Jerry's 99,000 years old. He wants to win, right? Before, he feels like, his mortality is kicking in. So he's like, "Look, I need to win now." He'll step out of the way and let Belichick do his thing, D. I really believe that. He's going to talk. In fact, and I don't think Belichick would have a problem with that. Just let me run the team. Will McClay would do the drafting, and we'll build this culture the way we need. He's going to hold guys accountable. He would have benched Gilmore. Right? Gilmore would have got benched. You can't play. Your shoulders hurt. Okay, I'm a Malcolm. What's his name? I'm a Malcolm Butler. You today? Okay.
But
you gonna sit down.
Malcolm Butler, he said he wasn't injured. That was some personal stuff. But I get what you're saying.
Yeah, but you understand what I'm saying.
Bill Belichick's not loyal to anybody.
Ain't nobody. And it doesn't matter.
You ain't cutting it. I don't care how much I'm paying you.
Listen,
I don't care how much the owner's paying you, because it ain't coming out of my check.
It ain't coming out. And that's the thing. So I think in that sense, I think he would do good. And my last point, who's a sucker MC? Who's a selfish son of a gun player? And if I wasn't a man of God, I would cuss this thing out, D. Is that Micah Parsons? You a chump. You a chump.
Listen.
You couldn't even stand and talk to the media. You leave it up to the defense that you're supposed to lead, and you got guys like Jordan Lewis and these guys and Gallimore and other guys sitting there, and you say you're saying it for your crappy. Yeah, and that podcast is so whack. You can't even articulate words. You are trash. You are garbage. And I don't even know when they would ever compare you to LT. You would never be an LT. LT was the greatest defensive player. And I told you that, D. To me, the greatest player to ever play the game of football was Lawrence Taylor. And that's a Giant. I hate the Giants. So I have to let that go. Him and Joe Montana, I said, was the greatest quarterback.
He was the greatest defensive player, nose running and all. He was
still. Micah Parsons.
All kind of residue, and he was still balling out.
With all coke in his nose and the whole nine. Balling.
All residue.
You know what I'm trying to say?
Balling.
All residue.
So, and let me tell you this about Micah.
Selfish. He only about his numbers. But see,
let me tell you, that selfishness is going to carry over. Since you did this to me with Brock Purdy and trying to splinter the team with contractual issues, you don't think CeeDee Lamb, after watching all these other receivers, after the season he had, the best numbers ever for someone on the Cowboys wearing 88, right? You think that he's not going to want to pay? You think you got years to pay him? He's going to want to get paid this offseason.
Well, you know what?
And you think Micah is going to want to say whatever you want? First of all, I'll say this. Why were they dropping Micah back in coverage and they wasn't?
Dan Quinn, idiot. 3rd down and 9, you throw a blitz and you got Micah dropping back in coverage. Why? Why is Micah in coverage?
That's not his forte. That's not his forte.
But that's Dan Quinn, and he had the guys playing soft. Bland was in the locker room on 3rd and 4. He was in the locker room playing coverage on a linebacker with potato sack legs. The guy can't even run. And Bland, he's giving the guy 40 yards of cushion.
They were double moving Bland to death anyway. So I don't know if it would have made much of a difference, but certainly Micah Parsons, the way he was talking, and your boy, punch him in the mouth, and if they bleed again, punch him again. Lawrence had a good the first game of the first play of the game. He got the stop in the run because Lawrence was a really good run defender, but he was useless. He did nothing at all. Micah said that he wanted to be. I'm maybe paraphrasing. He wanted to be legendary, like Emmett. I mean, these are his words.
Yeah, I'm saying, and sarcastically,
like Emmett.
How do you think of
Emmett, Michael, and Troy, right?
No.
He said he wanted
How you gonna be that?
He wanted to be legendary. And
you had
this
you had 1.5 tackles in that game against Green Bay. No, you had 1 pressure and 1.5 tackles. So what? So what? Great how? Nowhere near greatness. Nowhere near great. You are not the Chuck Howley. You're not Charlie Waters. You're not those guys. That's not you. Okay? Knock it off. You're not Bob Lilly. You ain't that dude. And David, with all due respect, Mike is not great. That's another word we gotta stop throwing around. He's not great. He's a good player, good defender. Dan Quinn knew how to use him, but the truth of the matter is you got no linebackers. So you should have kept him off ball anyway.
Nick Bosa would never. I just want to say that. He's not on. So
he's not on that level. He's not on the Nick Bosa level. He's not on a TJ Watt level.
When all of this settles and we take a hiatus for season 2, you come back season 3 renewed like an eagle, and you have a tan and you're feeling good. Just know he is not Nick Bosa. He will never be.
Listen, and if I say that, remind me of this day. Remember. You said, and you know what? I'll rescind. Maybe because
I don't know. You won't. You won't.
No.
You won't relent. You will be.
I'll relent. No, I'm going to relent because you know why? I have a new mentality. I don't care how tanned I am coming to season 3. I don't care how refreshed my soul is going to be in season 3. It won't matter. I'm telling you. Yeah, TJ Watt to me too. I think he's the best defensive player to me too. I agree with that. I mean, yeah, I would go with that. I would go with that for now. I don't know if I could debate that really in a strong way. But yeah, TJ Watt. But Micah Parsons. But I call him out because you let your teammates have to answer questions that you should be answering. You're the one that's going to get the bag in another year. Mm-hmm. You're the one that's supposed to be the leader of the defense. You're the all-pro linebacker. Are you not 3-time all-pro? Right? Character. Defensive player of the year, rookie defensive player of the year. How come you ain't in the locker room answering the questions? Why are you out somewhere? But you see, that's what I'm trying to say.
You got a podcast, though. But what I'm saying is you have so much to say. So the same players that you're now pushing up, because that shows poor leadership.
It does, but it starts with the head, Donald.
You got to be gracious in victory and defeat, right?
You have to be.
You have to be able to face the music at the end of the day. Because had you had a 4-sack game and shut them down, who would have been? They would have had to fight you for the mic. So that the whole posture of pushing, and no, you talk on my behalf, is a very indicative of a weak-minded and weak character.
He's a weak individual, and the culture there in Dallas is weak. McCarthy, that's what he was doing in practice, D. You know what he did? This is what happened. Because J. Lou said it. You know what he did? And I promise I'll let you go, because I have to get this out. You know what Mike McCarthy would do during the year that the players were trying to defend him the other day in the press conference? You know what he said? He said, it was worse than that. He said, you know what McCarthy does? He let us take phone breaks during practice. We could text our family to tell them that we love them. He let us have a family day during the week so we could bring the family in so he can meet our families. Nice. Okay? That's what does. Who does that? No winning Super Bowl champion head coach is gonna. You think Belichick care about your family?
No. Well, I'm gonna tell you why Belichick doesn't care. You remember somebody was getting married. This was towards the end when Tom Brady. Remember Tom Brady in the last year when he was about to leave? I think he was with the Patriots. Somebody was getting married, or was it a party for Robert Kraft? Something like that.
Right.
Tom Brady went, and Bill Belichick didn't even go. And then this is his direct employer. This is his boss, quote unquote. Yeah. He was like, no. What am I going for?
Nah, why?
So the phone breaks. That's more of a that's like a
who does phone breaks? Why are you being so nice to these guys? I don't understand that. That makes Tom Landry and Roger Staubach had a very broken relationship. Everybody craved for Landry's acceptance. Tom Landry wouldn't hug nobody. He wouldn't show no emotion. And him and Roger Staubach did not. He never showed no emotion. Roger cried because he said that Tom wouldn't show me any love. Chuck Noll went through the same. Bradshaw went through the same thing with Chuck Noll. You know why? Because they were too busy winning Super Bowls. You know what happened when Michael Irvin's running up on the tarmac, getting ready to get on the plane, Donald? And you know what? You know what Jimmy Johnson did? You know what he did? He said, close the door. He said, wait a minute, that's Michael Irvin. Close the door. Left Michael Irvin, one of his best players, Michael Irvin, left him out on the tarmac. And not only that, guess what else he did? He suspended him for the first half of the Detroit game. Michael went off in the second half, had 100 yards and 3 touchdowns, but he benched him. You know why? Jimmy didn't care. You ever want to look up a guy named Kervin Richards, Donald? You want to look at Kervin Richards? You know who Kervin Richards is? Dallas is 13-3, 1993. Getting ready to go back into the playoffs. Number 1 seed, 13-3. We playing at home against Chicago. We blow Chicago out. Emmett is resting. We got Kervin Richards. He's our backup running back. We won that game 34-14. Kervin Richards fumbled twice in that game. You know what happened to old Curve?
Cut him on the spot.
Cut him on the spot. He cleaned out his locker the same day of the game. Game was meaningless. Dallas is in, and he cut him. Because you know why? Jimmy wasn't having that. Because I can't trust you. I'm not going to have you mess this thing up because I don't know in case Emmett does go down, I got to trust you and put you in the game. You're going to end up for I'd rather not have you around. So this is what winning Super Bowl coaches think. Try to be no friend. A break, family day during practice. That's what they probably did all week before the Green Bay game. Have family shaking hands and kissing babies and oh, hey, hi, how are you? Oh, good to meet you. Oh, man, your husband's playing really good football this year. Trash. That's what it is. Do you think Shanahan is doing that, D? You think that? You think he's no. Shanahan probably look at their wives and say, "Can you block?"
Right.
If Miss,
are you helping him? Are you helping him memorize the playbook?
Yeah, do you memorize the playbook, Miss McCaffrey? I don't know if he's married or not. Okay, Miss Samuel, are you helping him understand the plays? Miss Purdy, whoever, it don't matter. If you can't do that, I don't want to meet you. I don't need to meet you.
And you know his father wasn't about that.
Definitely not. Oh, Mike Shanahan
wasn't about that.
They didn't care about that. None at all. None at all. But this is all right, D, I'm done. I look, I appreciate you, Dr. Don. Thank you for allowing me to get all this off my chest. I'm good. I feel better.
You went a little over, but listen,
I did. I went a lot over, and I'm sorry. Excuse me, D. But I appreciate you giving me this because after this, there's no more Cowboy talk. That's it. We're done. We're going to talk about 49ers coming the next show and all the good stuff that's coming with the rest of the playoffs. We're going to give a lot of attention to that. That's it for Dallas, y'all. Sorry. No more Cowboys on Brooklyn Bears and ball because we're done. Until coaching changes happen, and we'll see. We'll talk about it.
We will talk Cowboys. We have to talk Cowboys. Let's talk quickly. We're going to run through these last games.
Okay, we'll run
Let's quickly talk about the Rams and the Lions.
Rams and Lions. Go ahead.
Not surprised that the Lions won. The Rams, I thought they started off the game, and I thought they were going to be able to run, that they were going to actually pull away from the Rams. But I like the amount of pressure that they put on Matthew Stafford. He has some great memories there. Probably met his wife there, got married. I don't know.
Right.
Had children there. At the end of the day, that fan base wanted blood. They wanted to win the game. Yeah. And so it was much tighter than I anticipated, although I was very confident that the Lions would ultimately win. Good game. They ran the ball well. And I'll just say one more thing about the Cowboys. Mm-hmm. Cowboys are one-dimensional. CeeDee Lamb was completely taken out of the entire first half. You can't win that way. Your best player, and to your point, there is no, you're not even thinking of strategies to win. We're just going to keep throwing it to CD. We're going to throw it to CD because it worked the last couple of weeks. We just throw it to him 13 times. Yeah. If he catches 8, we'll win the game.
Right.
And they bracketed him and completely shut him down. I think he probably ended up with decent numbers, but that was part of the 16-32 that from 16
last 6 minutes.
Just
that was the part when Dak figured it out.
We found out something. We got hot a little late.
Figured out something.
So
2-minute drill.
Right, exactly. So shout outs to Detroit. They have a pretty. I think they're gonna roll next week. I mean, we'll discuss it on our next show. Ooh. Tampa Bay. I think they're gonna roll on Tampa Bay. But it was a really good game. And it had to feel good for Jared Goff to not only beat the team that gave up on him, but also to win the playoff game and further ingratiate himself into that Detroit blue collar backbone of America fan base. What do you say?
I'm gonna tell you this, Donald. That's all I'm gonna say, because I know that show has been running a little bit today. But did you see the adjustments that both teams made? How many points did either team score in the second half, Donald? Wasn't a whole lot, right? Wasn't a whole lot, because you know what they did? You know what the teams did, right? It was only 9 points in the whole second half, all field goals. You know why, Donald? Because they made adjustments. Yep. It was a score. That game could have been a high scoring back and forth game, but you know what? Both teams went in the locker room and they made what they call adjustments. That's it. They wasn't going to let each team score 48 points, right? They didn't want to get into a 48-16 type of thing. So what did each team do? They made adjustments. And that's all I got to say about that.
And Dan Campbell is not known to be any type of, he's known more to be a defensive coach.
Yeah, Aaron Glenn is their defensive coordinator over there in Detroit.
And he did a fantastic job.
Great job. Played of the year for us as a defensive back too. Yeah, Glenn was a pretty decent player. Not a bad defensive back. He was actually pretty good.
I knew we would get another reference to the Cowboys.
I'm sorry.
We can't
I'm
go.
sorry.
We couldn't go half a segment
without mentioning the
yesteryear, Cowboys
yeah.
and yesterday.
That's all I got, Don. All I got is yesterday, man.
The memories.
That's all I got,
it's
man.
just
I got memories, man. That's all.
Hey,
remember the days. You know what I'm saying? That's remember the foundation. That's all I got.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Steelers and the Bills.
Yep.
Listen. They're talking like Mike Tomlin's not sure, or the Steelers aren't sure if he's coming back. Mike Tomlin, any of those jobs that are available, Mike Tomlin could slide right in, because he's not one of those. He seems to be a straight shooter. I think he will rely on the offensive coordinator doing their job. I think he can fit in. He could definitely. Could he be the Chargers head coach? Certainly. I don't see. If you have an offensive coordinator, I think he fits in. And sometimes you can outgrow what you've been successful in. You could have success, but sometimes it's time for you to move on. And so I think that moving on might not be a bad thing. He goes out, he loses in the playoffs, but he goes out on top. He's never had a losing season, right? So those are things he can hold his hat on. And I think Tomlin is a great coach. He will be able to write whatever check he wants, whether he wants to go to broadcasting, if he wants to go to another team and start something from there, he definitely can do so. What do you say?
Absolutely. I agree. And I'll just simply say that if Tomlin has a quarterback, the Steelers can really be something. I personally wouldn't move off from him. I would just work to get him a quarterback. What he got out of that team was amazing. And that's what you call coaching. That's what you call coaching, D. That's what that is. Give him a CeeDee Lamb, right? And even though Pickens is a great player, Johnson balled out too. He's got some good players. Got good running backs there, right? He's got some guys. I like the running back tandem they've got there.
All he needs is a quarterback.
That's all. But all he needs is a quarterback, Donald, right? All he needs.
He got a good tight end, two good receivers, two good running backs.
That's it.
That's all.
As long as he doesn't have an 8-year, four-time Pro Bowl player and an All-Pro quarterback, he'll be fine. As long as he don't get that kind of quarterback. Give him a quarterback. That's all he needs. He wins. They actually win that game in Buffalo. They win that game in Buffalo, I believe. Because that game was closer than what it should have been to begin with. That was a bad interception by Mason in the end zone in that first half. That was points off the board. But anyway, that's all I say. But I think they are going to move on from him, though. I don't think they should. I sure wouldn't mind having him in Dallas, though.
Yeah,
he won't have any family breaks. That's for sure.
Right. And when you look at successful teams, that's why I don't. As far as you saying, you won't speak about the Cowboys until week 18 of this year, or next year rather. I just think every time you see success, it holds up a mirror to you just to see what should and could be in an organization and in a team. So I think it will make you more reflective, and I don't think you can just,
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to talk Cowboys, but I mean, I'm not going to immerse myself like I used to anymore. Them days are over now. I'm not going to immerse myself. I'm not going to, get completely, just wrapped up in the Cowboys like that anymore. I can't. It's not good for anybody to do that anymore. Not with what we've seen the past 28 years rather. I just can't do it anymore. I can't do it anymore. Yeah.
Just think, Hulk Hogan beating the, Andre the Giant and all that stuff. They're friends after. And I'll say this. When teams lose, right?
Mm-hmm.
We feel a certain way. Our team, we are emotionally invested. We buy merchandise. We sometimes purchase cable packages so we could see said team. When I lived on the East Coast, I had Sunday tickets so I could watch the Niners.
Yeah.
We do all of that, so there is an emotional connection. But at the end of the day, you have to at some point just, and I think this is a healthy place for you, to just take. I'm being honest.
No, you're right. No,
I
receive it. I receive it. Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, here you are. It takes you weeks to get over it. Yeah. And they're somewhere. They're paid, regardless of what their output is. Their pay doesn't change.
The check clears.
They're, Micah will be doing a podcast in no time.
Yeah.
He may not highlight what his deficiencies were. Today.
Yeah.
And so those are the type of things it puts it in perspective. Like at the end of the day, there are no losers. There are no losers. Like, you lose the Super Bowl, you lose a playoff game, Dak's money is still. Right. Listen, if anything, while other people are working and kids are in school and families, they get to hit all these places, and it's basically empty because everybody else is going on with their life, and they're able to travel and just enjoy themselves. So
no, you're right. You're right. But it must feel good though, D, to really be a fan of a team that has great culture, great leadership. Got a great GM in Lynch. Got one of the greatest offensive minds in football with Shanahan. You got all-world running back, all-world left tackle, and good receivers. Got an all-pro tight end. It's and all-world unanimously, by the way, voted.
They're a little bit better
middle linebacker with Fred Warner.
Good receivers. I mean, they're Well, I won't say great, because to me, great is reserved for like the Jerry Rices of the world. You know what I'm saying? He has a hierarchy. Good, great, and stuff like that. Star, whatever. But
I think they're superstar receivers. Yeah, I think they're superstar receivers. And Ayuk could definitely be a number one. I think so. I think he's going to end up surpassing Debo in as far as the targets if they choose to sign him, which I think they will.
Sometimes sometimes we're so focused on certain things that once we're able to look past just the original like fog, you had a cowboy fog, and now that fog has gone by, now you are seeing the world clearly now.
Well, D, that's why I have to let this go, right? That was part of what I've been saying. I can't get
while the fog,
anymore.
You couldn't see Brandon Ayuk's talent, and now that the fog is gone, now you see that, you know what? Brandon Ayuk is the number one. And I was teasing you back and forth. Brandon Ayuk would never go a whole half without a catch.
James said, wow, the clarity.
I'm telling you. Listen, James. Hey, listen. San Francisco gets foggy, right? We have fog.
Yeah, y'all got a lot of fog out there. Yeah, y'all get foggy.
It seems like the clarity of understanding who the Cowboys are, the young boy growing up and seeing that, hey, you know what? This is a script. They start off a certain way and it always ends the same way. Yeah. And I'm glad.
Like Stephen A. said, when accident waiting to happen, they're gonna let you down every time. They're gonna let you down. As soon as you
don't let your voice crack while you're saying that, man, because I don't want to
I'm just saying, man, it's just a good feeling to just be able to have what you have, man. You know what I mean? A solid organization, well-coached team, well-prepared. Even in the blowout to the Ravens, you still, if you're a 49er fan, I don't think you would ever you didn't walk away from that game feeling any less confident about your team. No, you just said, okay, they got us, and that's a good team that beat us, and we'll see them in the Super Bowl, and that's what and you'll be even better prepared. You'll be ready to go, and you'll see two good coaches coach, right? You know what I'm saying? You won't see a guy who looks like a rock with no soul with a hat on and just looking up in the sky. You know what I'm saying? Just dumbfounded with no brain cells and just like you won't see that. No, you won't see that.
And my question, and then we're gonna go to the Eagles Bucks.
Okay.
I've seen several times where your players are injured on the field.
I agree, James. Mm-hmm.
different plays happen. Sometimes I know they have a whole department that if something needs to be challenged, they will kind of advise the head coach.
Mhm.
I've seen where players have been injured on the Cowboys, and he still looks up at the jumbotron. Why wouldn't you just go to the field and talk to said player or athletic trainer in real time? What are you looking up at the jumbotron for?
Yeah, and D, I wish I had an answer for that, because I was gonna say in Dallas, and you and I have been in the AT&T Stadium, and the jumbotron it's attractive. Like a lot of time when I'm in AT&T Stadium, I look. Yeah, I'm actually looking at the jumbotron than I am looking at the field. So it could be a bit alluring, but he does that in every stadium. He's looking up at every stadium's jumbotron. Doesn't matter. They might have a 50-inch screen in one of those stadiums, and he's still squinting, looking up in there and see. Like, I don't. So to answer your question, I don't know. But these are the idiotic things. It's no different than Dak saying we figured it out with 30 seconds left to play. We finally understood what they were doing to us, and we figured out some things. So it's the same logic. Whatever logic is in that, that's what's in that. So so good luck trying to find that, figure out what that is. Yeah.
Okay. Last but not least. Eagles versus the Bucks, man.
Yeah.
Listen, the Bucks just took the Eagles out of their misery.
Yeah, they did.
And it was something it was one of those games that I was kind of hoping against hope. It seemed like, it was the Eagles, very similar to the Cowboys, very similar to Miami, showed you who they were the entire season.
Right.
Against stiff competition, how they were faring. They were barely winning or not winning at all. And they just looked disjointed. And so there was the problem with the Eagles after this loss is they're going to lose a lot. They're losing veterans to retirement.
Yeah, they are.
Sirianni, there's talk that Sirianni is on the chopping block. Because that fan base, remember, we were talking about 5-year-olds, yelling at, visiting fans, getting into it with visiting fans and yelling at them. So they're indoctrinated to be a certain way. And having a team go to the Super Bowl, play the way they played last year, being very close to winning it, and then in the absence of the offensive coordinator and the defensive coordinator, the head coach looks lost. All of that vibrato and swag and smugness, it just seeped out of his shoes, because he looked like a different person.
He did.
When you looked at him, that swag and that smug.
Yep, stop wearing his hat and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks some
like
games without his hat
person.
on. Yeah, he does.
And he because he had the hedge of offensive minds around him, and it was more so them giving him the answers, and they were actually he was benefiting, as Josh Allen said, he was benefiting being the person that did nothing on the project and getting an A.
Right.
And then once everyone left, it was his responsibility to make the adjustments. And clearly, he was just he was ill prepared. He was not the coach they thought he was. He's not one of the young offensive minds that could take the Eagles to the next level. And it showed.
Right.
They were, the dysfunction in the locker room. You got A.J. Brown. So we're trying to think now. We have to think about this. Is A.J. Brown a diva? Because how Tennessee ended, now he's here now, and now he's unfollowing all of the Eagles stuff on his social media. And you got the bag, right?
Not the bag.
They invested in you.
Sure.
So, you got injured, but you have to also take into consideration the drops. Jalen Hurts, I hope he doesn't get, and Jalen Hurts is, we agree, Jalen Hurts is a level dude, someone that we like overall. The way he carries himself. He has great leadership abilities, and he carries himself well. But when you think about it, that was a complete team dismantling. Baker Mayfield looked like the Baker Mayfield of
Looked like he was back in Oklahoma or something.
Oklahoma. He
the Heisman
was
Trophy winner. He was
balling out.
Yeah,
he made them look bad, and it was wide open. There was no Baker didn't really. There was no pressure on him, and
they just flopped their secondaries. That's all they say. Hey, Dallas, we'll take your guys, you take our guys, and we'll just flop. Let's just see how that works. Yeah, that's what they did. But go ahead. I'm sorry, D.
So
I didn't mean to.
Yeah, man.
I'm sorry.
What do you say?
I agree with James, but Dak. Yeah, Dak figured out with the backups of Green Bay. So I agree with you there, James. What happened to the Eagles in the last 7 weeks is what Dallas did in one game on Sunday. That was the whole complete meltdown. Dallas did it in one Sunday, whereas the Eagles, it took them 7 weeks. Don, I could not agree with you more. I think Sirianni, I don't think he should be fired, me personally, but I think he is. Lurie is known to have been letting guys go quick. They're not a team that will hold on. I mean, obviously Andy Reid was there for a number of years, but you saw what happened to Doug Peterson. Peterson is out, just won him a Super Bowl. Sirianni gets him to a Super Bowl. Something happened in that locker room. Something terrible happened. Could get my suffix right. Something terrible happened, D, in that locker room. I don't know what happened amongst these players, but whatever happened, it got out of hand. Coaches were somehow involved in that, just the same. And Sirianni lost his team. As the head coach, no matter whatever happened, it's your job to fix that. Whatever's fragmented and broken, you have the responsibility as the head coach to fix
leader of men. You're a
leader of men. That's what you got to do, right? You have to find a way to fix it. It's almost like what happened with Antonio Brown and all the drama he caused in Pittsburgh. At some point, Tomlin, whether he had to get with the management and the ownership, they found a way to get the toxicity out, right? They had to find a way. And what happened in that locker room after that beat down in that 42 they took against the Niners again, when the teams lose to the Niners, that's it. Your careers, your franchise, everything implodes. Everything just goes haywire. There's mayhem in the city streets. It's just crazy. You got to call in more police. That the city's up in mayhem. There's all kind of economic depression in the city. All the businesses closed. It just gets crazy.
Guard is called.
National Guard is called in. The governor's under pressure for the state, the mayor for the city. It just gets out of whack when the 49ers beat a team bad. The problem is something happened in that locker room. And whatever it is, you can't run that back. Just like with Dallas. You can't run back that same team, that same coaching staff. Something has to change. And so with Philly, you got to do something totally different. And I think they're going to end up letting Sirianni go. And let me tell you something, and I agree with someone. I heard someone say this on one of the Dallas radio stations, and I agree. Everybody takes on, whether it's the ownership or the coaches, they tend to take on the culture of the city, the tendencies of the city, the belief system of the city, the convictions of the city. And what happens is that when the city is tired of you, and they're calling for Sirianni, everybody, I think they did a poll. I think it's like 85% of the people want Sirianni gone. Guys are holding up the sign right there in the middle of the Tampa Bay Stadium with bags on their heads, holding up the Sirianni signs. He got to go. So the reality is, Bosa told everyone the Philly game plan, and they won. They won one game since. Yeah, he did that. Yeah. Well, Niners, they'll call you out and say, this is what you got to do. This is how you beat them. You know what I'm saying? And that's pretty much it. And I have to say, yes, my Cowboys imploded on Sunday with a bad L. But I did tell everybody, Philly is not who we think they are. I knew that they were frauds too in their own way. All 10-1 teams were not created equal. And I knew that team was not, because at some point, the way they were winning was going to catch up with them. But I will say this, D, they're out of their misery. Bradbury didn't want to tackle. They should have benched him a long time ago. He should have, I don't care what his contract said. He should have gotten benched a long time ago. Guys wasn't tackling yesterday. They clearly wanted no parts of that game. They wanted to go to Cancun. They wanted out of there. They had no desire to play football at all yesterday. But I'll say lastly, salute to Jason Kelce. I do like Jason Kelce. Great career. He did announce his retirement today officially. 6-time All-Pro. He is in a Hall of Fame. He has a ring. Great player. They're going to lose. They're going to miss him. They're going to miss Graham, and they'll miss Cox. And so those three guys, most likely, I guess Graham and Cox, I don't know what's going to happen to them. I guess either they'll retire or they may even just, go on and leave and move on to another team. Who knows? Not sure. But that's about it. And I think there's a lot of issues with Jalen Hurts. I don't know if the team is feeling comfortable because a lot of them want Jalen Hurts out of there too, the Philly-based fan base. So I don't know what you're going to do with that. You just paid him the bag, so he ain't going nowhere. You're going to be, you just hope he gets healthy, gets surgery, and then come back healthier, and you see what happens. But I think Sirianni is gone because he could not coach that team without his assistants, and he looked very vulnerable in that position.
Now, there is some talk that Bill Belichick could go to the Eagles. How would you feel about that being in your division?
I think it's not a good thing for Dallas.
It wouldn't. If you can get Belichick there with a good offensive coordinator, that would spell trouble for
that's
Dallas.
And you know what? And what would also be bad about that? Jerry can't lure Belichick with money. It won't matter because Belichick he's not that kind of guy. He don't need the money. And not only that, I mean, he's 72.
Where's the money going on the sweatshirts to cut them off?
Right.
I mean,
Well, that's
the sleeves off.
Yeah, it's the sleeveless sweatshirts. He should have a brand by now. Surprised he hasn't done that. But yeah, right. That happens, Donald. That's a bad thing for Dallas. Yeah, it's a bad.
But listen to this.
Yeah,
they're saying that there's a toxic culture in for the Giants. That Daboll grinds people to powder, and I saw a report today on I think it was Colin Cowherd that was talking about Brian Daboll. I guess his team.
Oh yeah,
they're the coaches. No he's like a yeller, and he's one of those people that kind of But you think about the tree that he came from. He came from a very hard, strict, stringent coaching line. So I mean,
he did. Yeah, he was in Alabama for a year. He was in New England, of course. You know what I'm saying? And coached in Buffalo as the OC there. Got Josh Allen right, and So and you can see his demeanor, man. Yeah, he's like a tough little son of a gun. You know what I mean?
Remember at halftime when Tyrod Taylor was going to the locker room after I think he threw an ill-advised pick. And he chewed him out all the way up the tunnel.
All the way. I mean, just obliterated him, man.
Yeah.
That's woof. But you know what, though? I'm going to be honest with you, man. I like that.
Accountability. There's something about accountability, man.
It's accountability, man. You know what I'm saying? Only in Dallas you can play bad and get extensions. So that's it. Because there's no accountability. I like that with Daboll. I got no problem with that.
They may announce Dak's extension while we're doing this podcast.
Yeah. I'm gonna definitely check the news once this is over to see if anything pop. I mean, I haven't seen anything pop. I've been kind of surfing the net a little bit here and there while we've been.
I know what you're looking for. I know the one thing that you're looking for. I
just want to see fired. I want to see Mike McCarthy fired. I want the breaking news that they let me. It took him 5 days to fire Garrett, and because Jerry don't fire, he's not a Black Monday type of guy. He's not going to fire coaches the next day.
Because he wants Bill to make a splash.
There you go. Got to keep going with Dallas Cowboys.
Everything he's going to, it's on his terms.
He's a shrewd guy,
and that's why I think someone as rigid as Belichick, it would be tough to be under, dealing with that type of ownership. I really do, especially coming from where he came from. But time will tell, man.
Tush push is over.
Tush push is over.
Oh yeah, so it got stopped last night. The very last.
And when that wasn't working, it was like, the game got nothing.
I started to text that in the chat too, so that's over now. The tush push ain't working.
They can't even do
that. That's their whole offense, right?
Right.
That's it. That's their whole offense.
So you seen them starting to blow up on the sideline.
Got it. I never seen Goddard out of pocket like that, man.
Goddard screaming on Jalen Hurts, and we already know Devontae balled out. Devontae did what he could do. Smith did.
He did what all he can do. Yeah.
Swift. This is the last thing, and then we'll close out.
Go ahead, bro.
As successful as the run was, they still didn't commit to it.
No, they didn't.
They only ran the ball pretty much under 20 times.
Yeah.
I think Swift was running the ball well, and I remember looking at it and texting in the thread that it was only his 8th attempt.
Yeah.
If nothing else, if Jalen Hurts' finger was compromised, keep running the ball if it's working.
Yeah, that's what you do. Keep running the ball. And they didn't. And Tampa committed to stopping the run. But even still, like, just because the team said they're going to stop it, don't mean you don't run.
Don't mean that they will.
Yeah, don't mean that they will. You know what I'm trying to say?
And once they and once you want them to commit, right? But then you want them to overcommit. And when they overcommit to stopping the run,
right?
Because you can commit to stopping the run, and that might be the difference from getting 5 yards a carry to maybe 3.5. But when they take that extra effort to try to really shut it down, your receivers are getting single covered, and you're able to maximize it in the air. Keep them honest. You got to keep the balance going in order to, if you think about it, all the teams that were successful this weekend had balanced attacks.
They did.
Think about it.
Yeah, you're right. Good
Packers,
point.
balanced attack. Texans, balanced attack.
Balanced attack. Yeah.
Lions,
Detroit.
Balanced attack.
Yeah, Detroit ran well.
Bills, balanced attack.
Bills, yeah, you did. Cook ran well too.
Attack.
No, you're right, and you need that D in the playoffs. You need that. You can't go in the playoffs one-dimensional. So I mean, no, you're right. No, you're right. In the Eagles, to James' point, I agree. Yeah, everybody has to go. That whole secondary to go. The coordinators definitely got to go. Everybody needs to go. Everyone needs to go. And but I think there's something with
How you
the
doing?
players. Hey, what's going on, Conandre? What's good? That's the problem with the Eagles. Run the ball and defense get a new secondary. Yeah, and it almost wouldn't matter what their offense would have done, in my opinion, for the Eagles. Their defense is going to let them down. Look, when Drew Lock goes 90, you let Drew Lock go 95 yards, bro, for a winning score. Like that shouldn't happen. Not Drew Lock. Drew Lock has no business taking anyone on a winning drive. Like, this is just not going to, for the Seahawks. That shouldn't have happened. That defense got worse and worse each game. But each passing game, they got worse and worse and worse. You didn't bench nobody.
Bill Belichick would have that defense.
Oh, no. He would get that defense right. He'll get any defense right.
He can draft defensive players.
He can.
That's one thing he can do. Offense, no.
Yeah, no, he definitely can. If you ain't ever lie about that. And I tell you what, let me just pull this and I'll be very, very quick. I just want to see what the team defense was again for the Patriots, and then we can go. But the Patriots still had a very oh no, they only showing the playoff team. Let me see. I can't see why are they? Okay, hold on.
You're talking about their overall defense?
Yeah, I was trying to see what their overall defense was.
I think they were top 10.
They were top 10. Yeah, they were top 10.
They were top 10. I'm almost certain of it.
Yeah. So, but anyway,
and their problem was obviously the quarterback. Mac Jones is terrible, and they were going from Jones to Zappy to back to Jones, and
right.
So they're a quarterback away from doing anything. Of course, they need some offensive weapons too, but they need a lot too.
They need a lot, and Bill should be glad he's out of there because there's no fixing that team. I mean, they need a quarterback, which they'll eventually get. Be curious to see what the new kid, what's his name, Mayo does.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, James. They were fifth.
They were fifth. Okay, that's why I forgot we got James in the building. Thank you, James.
I
forgot we got the statistician, man.
Yeah,
that's it, man. Appreciate you, James. Fifth. That's fifth, and they were a 4-12 team, and they had the fifth best defense.
Yeah, that just lets you know how bad the offense was.
That's how bad the offense
had to be.
They were like the Jets. They were another version of the Jets to a degree. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I still wouldn't mind Belichick though. I don't want Vrabel. I like Vrabel, but I don't know. It's something of. I don't think he moves the needle for Dallas. That's just what I feel. You know what I'm saying? I would just go with Belichick if you're going to go with Vrabel.
Well, listen, everyone compared to McCarthy. McCarthy's comatose, so everyone moves the needle.
Everyone. Yeah. Honestly, I ain't gonna lie. I would just be glad to see anybody. I don't care. Pick a D2 coach. Bring him in. I don't even care.
James, funny comment. We won't post that though, but it's a funny comment.
Good score in a brothel. Oh, God. James. Oh, man. Yeah, man. But James, man. Yeah. No, but James, you said something. I don't know if you saw his comment earlier, D. James said that looked like Detroit can waltz right into the Super Bowl. I think you said something about that. That's
James, you okay, James? Listen, we're not going. I'm going to say this, and then we're going to close. We are going to preview, obviously, this week's games coming up.
Yeah, we're going to do it. Yeah.
The Niners are playing the Packers, right? The Packers are traveling to San Francisco. Now we know what they did to the Cowboys. We don't need to rehash that. I don't think Rod's heart can take us rehashing.
I can't. I'm getting my heels.
We are going to win, and I'm saying this right now. We are going to win by 14 plus points. We are going to not only beat the Packers, we are going to thrash.
Shanahan is going to. That's the pupil against the teacher. He is going to.
He's going to sun. He suns all of them.
Yeah.
He suns McVay.
Yeah.
He suns. What's his name?
He does, and he's been owning. And he was owning the Packers when they had Rodgers. Right. So Shanahan is gonna. Yeah.
Jordan Love is going. It's going to be like, Jordan Love, great season. There's a lot of promise, but there's levels to it. This is the year of elevation. There's levels to this.
They're going to be so prepared.
There's a difference between dealing with the Cowboys,
unprepared,
and dealing
Cowboy
with the
team.
Niners. There is a difference. There's levels to it.
Oh no, there's a big difference.
And that's going to be on display.
Yeah, because y'all gonna exploit their weaknesses, unlike Dallas. Dallas never even looked at the weaknesses of the Packers to exploit anything. Didn't do that. Not at all. Yeah, they could. They could. Don't underestimate them.
No, we're not counting them out. But by 14 plus. We're not counting them out. They're going to be at the game.
Let me tell you something. The 49ers are not the Dallas Cowboys. They're not, especially now what they just did. So the Niners definitely a lot like. Okay, if Dallas would have played, if Dallas would have won that game, I mean, if the Packers would have won that game, but it was kind of close or whatever, then you might be like, okay. But you saw what Dallas did. The 49ers not going to do that. They're going to be like, oh, no, we're going to beat both teams. We're going to beat the Cowboys and we're going to beat the Packers all in the same game.
We're going to show the Cowboys fan base what would have happened just a week. If had you come, it would have been this. And the team that beat you, we're going to do this to them. And when they meet in the center after the game, Kyle is going to give him a noogie. Like, yo, good try, young man. Going back to the
young grasshopper.
Exactly. You're going to pat him on his head like Benny Hill. Send him on back like it's over. It's over. So I'm not concerned whatsoever about it.
Is that I let this go. This was our best chance to get to the NFC Championship, Donald. Y'all would have had to play the Detroit Lions, right? And had we won,
the real number 2 seed,
right? The real number 2 seed, and Tampa would have come to us,
and you guys should have been able to.
And we would have probably, I would have think we would be, especially if we took care of business, Green Bay, confidence, and Donald. What did I tell you in the beginning? All I asked for was an NFC Championship. That's all I didn't want. Listen, I didn't mind losing in Levi Stadium because that's expected. All Cowboy fans were saying that. Any realistic Cowboy fans. They said was just all we asked for is an NFC. Can we just get an NFC Championship? We had everything aligned for us. The Eagles imploded. We ended up getting the number 1, 2 seed. Dan Campbell decided to go for it on 3 times on a 2-point drive.
You were afforded every opportunity.
And we was playing at home. We won 16 in a row. Donald. Everything. Yeah. Everything, Donald. Everything was going our way. All we had to do was win these 2 home games, and we'd have been right to Levi State. And you know what? Whatever happened would have happened. And I would have just been happy for, man, you know what? We just got to the NFC Championship. And you know what? If we'd have lost the game, at least put up a good effort, that'd have been all right with me. I've been okay with that because you lost to a better team. But you lost to a 7-seeded team at home. To a first-year starting quarterback who's never played in the playoffs.
The Cowboys had a historic season, man. At the end of the day, it was historic.
It was in a worse way, in a bad way.
Bad history.
Bad historic season. Trash, man. God, that was bad.
I thought I want you to end this session better. I don't want you to
no, I'm good. I'm good. Off. Listen, I'm good. I'm here.
I don't want any remnants of.
Nah, no remnants. No, I'm good. Listen, like I said, man, look, 49ers, we're going to talk about it on Saturday when we come back and do the show. And, we'll discuss the 49ers. I'm looking forward to it. I want y'all to beat the brakes off Green Bay so that we can.
We are.
We can really see.
Yeah.
Don't
worry.
Yeah.
Don't worry. We're going to handle business.
And you know what? The Green Bay got the brakes beat off them by Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay beat the brakes off them this year.
Yeah.
What you call it, man?
And Baker. Then we'll have old kneecaps, old kneecap biter
Yeah, the
We'll
kneecap
have them
biter
in
will
the
come
NFC
to
Championship
us.
game.
Yeah. And
That
you'll
should be-
yeah. That'll be a little bit.
It'll be a
better.
little more exciting, but we know how
Yeah.
Jared Goff faces when he's pressured, as opposed, and we're going to apply immense pressure.
Oh,
we
no
know
question.
how he is with pressure and without pressure. So
Is what you call it playing this week, Armstead?
he's trending. He's trending that way.
Yeah, okay.
And do
All
we
right.
need him to beat the Packers? No, we don't.
But it just be good for him to get in there, though. I mean,
if it's
just
in the best interest of him, because remember, we're gonna. There is what, a week and a half or 2 weeks to the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
2 weeks to the Super Bowl. So he still
Yeah, I think
has
it's a
more.
2 week.
Yeah, because you got the. I think they used to have
They
the Pro
bumped it to
Bowl
2 weeks
after,
now,
and then
right.
they put the Pro Bowl in front. So
Right.
February.
Oh yeah,
11th
the Pro
is
Bowl's in
Super
front.
Bowl.
Right. That's right.
So
that's right.
we have an opportunity.
Yeah, that's right. You are so
You're right.
sir.
You're right. We listen, Francisco, man. That was it. When the win all black, they didn't know it was a funeral. And everything changed, man. Everything changed. Also, CMC, full participant in practice, so he's back.
When was he ever out? I didn't even know he was hurt.
Remember, he had the calf strain, the mild calf strain, halfway through. What was that? Week 17 or maybe week 18? They pulled him out. He only played half. He had a mild calf strain, and then we had to bye, and he was able to, Now he's full participant, so he's rearing and ready to go.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Okay.
James, I know we're both trying to be somewhat sympathetic and empathetic to Rodney, or Rod. I shouldn't say his full name, but Rod.
It's okay.
But
Rodney,
we do have to be realistic about what's going to happen to the Packers. We're going to send them packing.
Yeah.
We have done that when they had Rodgers, Love. I mean, listen.
Yeah.
They had their time where when the Packers were handling the Niners, but that time is come and gone. So we're good.
That's why Dallas it's unrealistic that you'll see the Cowboys win anything anytime soon. Because
they played against Washington and he had a calf strain. That's where Elijah Mitchell came back in and
right.
Right.
Oh yeah.
So at the end of the day, we want as stated before, we want him to be CMC to be and even with this win, I want to see Elijah Mitchell some too. Sprinkle Elijah Mitchell in, sprinkle in Jordan Mason. Because we need
Mason is actually a good back. I like him.
Yeah, he is.
He actually ran. He ran well on Dallas.
Yeah.
Well, Mason is good.
We want CMC to be 100%. Trent Williams, Debo, IU.
It's gonna be a clinic. Son.
We're
Yeah. And LaFleur knows that. LaFleur, he's like, look, we got our big win in Dallas.
That was a big.
And they actually came in that game knowing they would win. They actually knew they were going to win. That's how confident
crazy
they were.
enough, I saw on Undisputed, Lil Wayne was on, and he said he was 100% sure.
He's a Packer fan. That's right. He is.
That they were going to win. I mean, he seems supremely confident, and his eyes. That
they were going to be Dallas or for the 49ers?
That they were going to be Dallas. They were going to be Dallas. There was no jaundice. His eyes weren't yellow. So he was speaking from a coherent place. He said he was 100% sure that they were going to win. So I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
And they did.
And not only did they beat us, they
I mean, it wasn't from start to finish. It wasn't they climbed back in it. The game was out of hand, really, in the first half.
Yeah, they dominated that whole game. First drive, it was over. They scored 6 of their first 7 drives in that game.
Exactly, and if not for a penalty, Dallas would have went in halftime scoreless.
Yeah,
they benefited from
because Tyler
penalty,
Smith had
make it look good. Yeah, that was a little
it was a good call.
Game was home cooking, little stew.
Yeah, they stewed us up a little bit, gave us a little homer feel there. That was it. It's just so we don't look too bad, but it is what it is. Francisco's a 49er fan, huh? Now to Philly wearing all black.
Gave it away. You see his which?
Yeah, I seen his because I was on another screen, so when I came back.
And I don't know Francisco, but I like what he's saying, man. When we wore black, it was a funeral.
Yeah, it was.
And, we broke them, and that was the point that they never recovered. And to Dallas's credit, I'm gonna give Dallas their flowers. Now Dallas was able to pivot off of disappointment and
we did
take the loss. And
Mhm.
it was a catalyst for them to
Yeah.
go on and win games and get into the position of the number 2 seed,
Yep.
only to dash only to dash
Only to fall.
the fans,
That's all we did.
on the rocks.
Thank you for propelling us to the higher heights. We took a nice trajectory.
And deeper
but the
depths.
higher we went, in deeper depths. Right. Only to fall.
Right.
Only to fall. So yeah, that's what Dallas does, man. That's what we do.
I feel good about
no one
this,
does it
man.
better.
I'm glad you're doing better, man.
Yeah,
Listen,
I'm good, D. I am, man. I feel good. I'm glad. I just, I'm more monitored and more composed, and I feel I just know what it is. I've accepted more reality now. I'm starting to see things a lot clearer, and it's a good thing, man. So I stand with you. I'm looking for a good Super Bowl between you and the Ravens. If the Ravens, and we'll see if the Ravens. I mean, Houston could shock them. I mean, Lamar doesn't always play well in the playoffs either, so we'll see. So
there's only I'll say this, and will be a teaser for our next show.
Mhm.
There's only one team from the AFC I don't want to see.
Steve Wilkes does a lot of interviews. Is he an interview type of guy? Oh, you mean interviews for coaching jobs? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Now we hope they're not just going through the motion, and this is the Rooney Rule, but he's gotten a lot of interviews already.
He's going through the motions.
Yeah. He interviewed for the Chargers. That was going through the motions.
I don't know why they even bother. I would be like, nope. I'm all the black coaches. I say nope. So now you're gonna be stuck because you can't hire nobody until you hire. Now it's 2 minorities, and you can't visit a team personally until January 22nd. I just found that out today. I didn't know that was a rule. Yeah, you can only do Zoom. You can only do Zoom. You can't. They can't come out there until after January 22nd.
Any coach.
Yeah, any coach. You can't.
So Belichick said that he completed his interview with Atlanta, but that was
with Atlanta.
Zoom.
That was Zoom. Yeah, he didn't. Okay. He couldn't physically go. No. I retract. Now, if you're under contract, Belichick wasn't under contract. So if you're under contract, like a Wilkes, Dan Quinn, those guys, they were not allowed to go to the physical places. But
Dan Quinn's mind and his heart and his body and his soul was already in Seattle.
Oh, definitely. He had Starbucks. You would see the Starbucks up there in the booth. Yeah. So the Starbucks right there. Yeah, he was there. But that game plan he gave us, he clearly wasn't into that game. Yeah. He clearly wasn't in that game. No way. I want y'all to play. Everybody's going to play 40 yards off. That's all. Just keep everything underneath. Keep everything under 30 yards. That's it.
Right.
So, yeah.
But, man, listen.
Anyway. All right, D.
Shouts out to Kingdom Creative.
Kingdom Creative's in the building.
Actually, not in the building, but.
Well, not in the building, but.
In our hearts.
Always
in our hearts.
Right. And all the graphics,
All the graphics, everything you see is Kingdom Creative. Shout outs to Infinite Audio for the music.
Yeah.
This is original tracks, like I said.
Original tracks, man.
And this is no cap, as the young people say. This same music, we get an opportunity to go through the catalog of music that is on NBA TV, Sports Center. I mean, not these beats, because we get the premium choices. He says, hey, go through the catalog, whatever you want. And whatever you don't want, I'll send to, Netflix for movies.
That's right.
NBA TV, ESPN, you name it. So shout outs to Infinite Audio for that. James, our UK affiliate.
Yo, James, we appreciate you, bro.
Correspondent, we appreciate you, man.
Yeah, man.
Francisco, we appreciate you. Who else? Canandre, thank you, brother Canandre, man. I appreciate you, man.
Bro. Thank you, sir.
David, thank you for joining us, man.
Hey, thanks, man. Yeah,
comments.
that's some good input,
SKRAPP,
Dave. Yeah.
Thank you, brother. We stand with
you,
you,
bro.
man.
We stand with you, bro.
Absolutely.
Yes, indeed.
We appreciate it. Jeff, thank you for joining us, man. We appreciate it. Thank you so much. We appreciate all the comments. Once again, please, we ask you, like, share, subscribe to our Facebook and YouTube page. We're really trying to push our YouTube page. We put a lot of content on Facebook, but we're really trying to push our YouTube page. So we encourage you, if you are already following us on Facebook, also follow us on YouTube.
Yes,
push our YouTube and share. If you think this is good content, if you think we are making good takes, if you like our personalities, then share.
Yeah.
Caring
definitely.
is sharing is caring is sharing, whatever they say.
Right.
Yeah. So
Caring
put
is
that
sharing.
out there, and we
Sharing is
appreciate
caring,
it.
Right.
Let me see what the last comment is for the day. What do you say?
Francesca,
11.
comment.
Jerry loves the fans burning Dak jerseys because he can reel them back in and have them buy some more.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Yeah,
No
I agree.
doubt. Oh yeah. No doubt.
It's a never-ending cycle of
And I'm visiting in Donna. I'm gonna tell you now. I'm not coming to San Francisco. I'm not going to no games next year. I may not even come. I'm not gonna come. If I come to San Francisco,
you
bro,
can just come visit me, man.
it's gonna be
That's all
you.
good.
Yeah, I'll just come visit you. That's it.
Yeah.
You know. And if you don't mind, I'll just stay in the house while you go to the game. And if you don't mind,
Yeah,
we
but
just
I'm gonna lock the TV. I'm gonna set all the TVs. I'm gonna program the TV so only the game will be on. So it's
only the game will be on. So I won't be able to.
And then I'll have the speaker surround sound just playing the game in the back, so there is no escaping it.
I'm gonna probably just drive around, see if there's any homeless people I can go ahead and minister to.
Yeah,
like that, you know, in Santa Clara somewhere. You know what I mean? So yeah.
And they may have Trey Lance jerseys on and some other stuff. You won't be able to escape it. The Niners
no. Niner Nation's gonna be all out there.
And now that the Raiders are in Vegas, I mean, it's Bay Area is
the Bay. Oh yeah, that's
Bay
right,
Area.
Yeah.
But thanks again.
Thanks, guys.
Until next time, we appreciate it. We'll see you soon. Peace.
Peace.